Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
News at 5 teasers are brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Robeanne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, relief coming for businesses as DBJ launches $11 billion Hurricane Recovery Fund.
The opposition is questioning the silence of Finance Minister Fayval Williams on the economy following Hurricane Melissa.
We are 4 weeks after the hurricane, and the Minister of Finance is yet to come to the Parliament and tell us how much money we have, how the funds are going to be used.
The NHD has started procurement for 50% of the 5,000 temporary homes needed for areas worst hit by the hurricane.
Leptospirosis cases continue to rise.
Government pushes back against suggestions the opposition is being sidelined in recovery efforts.
There's a committee that was established in Parliament. The opposition refused to sit on that committee.
In news from the rest of the world, Trump administration again seeks to end Haitian temporary protected status.
2 National Guard members shot a few blocks from the White House.
In headline sports, Miguel Coley accepts interim assistant role with the JFF.
And later on our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, the Development Bank of Jamaica, DBJ, has launched an $11 billion program to assist businesses with recovery from Hurricane Melissa. We'll get reactions from President of the Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Antoinette Hamilton, and President of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, Catherine Silvera.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, do you agree with the government's plan to lend JPS $150 million to fast-track recovery efforts? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, we'll have a paid rebroadcast of Minister of Science, Energy and Telecommunications and Transport, Darrell Vaz's presentation in the House of Representatives yesterday.
And at 8, it's Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings Weathers.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90FM, RevoNews.ai, and on the Revo News app. It's available on Google Play and the App Store. This Wednesday afternoon, it's Wednesday, November 26, 2025.
News at 5 teasers were brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. The Development Bank of Jamaica, DBJ, has launched an $11 billion program to assist businesses to recover from the impact of Hurricane Melissa. Managing Director Dr. David Lowe gave a breakdown of the initiative during a OPIA media briefing on Wednesday. Dr. Lowe says the program was carefully tailored following the input of various stakeholders. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
Hurricane Melissa has devastated Western Jamaica. Unlike COVID-19, which displaced the country's human capital, Melissa has also crippled the West's productive sectors and its physical infrastructure. The Development Bank of Jamaica, DBJ, is stepping in to offer businesses a lifeline. The program, dubbed M5, will at its peak provide $11 billion to assist with the recovery effort.
This program is a $10 billion Jamaican dollar recovery fund designed to assist in recovery, resilience, after the passage of Hurricane Melissa. The funding is broken into 3 key phases and stages of deployment. The first is a $1 billion Jamaican dollar fund available to all of the AFIs and MFIs, which are our partners in the financial sector. And they have immediate access to this 1 billion fund, which is part of DBJ's current balance sheet. The second phase, which was approved at Cabinet this week, is 3 billion. Thereafter, there's a further commitment of 7 billion Jamaican dollars, which will assist in the overall rebuilding of particular sectors, supply chains, and other economic actors.
Dr. Lowe also gave a breakdown of the three categories under which the fund will operate. It will offer loans of $5, $20, and $50 million.
The framework has three distinct product windows. The first, we have coined the name the refinance window. These are businesses that might have been indirectly affected, which already have credit facilities. And what we've done is to look at how we can engage in an assessment of terms, relax certain issues that can allow them to continue and have some breathing space. The second is what we refer to as the reboot window. And this is also what we have referenced as a light touch. You may have just some short-term needs. You have inventory to be replaced. You have some infrastructure damage that's not material to your ongoing operations, but you need to get back to where you were pre-storm. And the most important, which is the rebuild window, which is a longer phase engagement. And these are businesses that have pretty much been totally disrupted.
The loans have a 10-year repayment period at reasonable interest rates and collateral requirements. The loans will be targeted at key industries such as agriculture, manufacturing, distribution, and tourism. But the DBJ has stressed areas falling outside these priorities can still access the M5 loans. Dr. Lowe says a grant program will also be rolled out to effect resilience in the Jamaican economy.
And how this grant program is going to work is that we want to encourage innovation. We want to encourage things that can bring greater levels of resilience. There's going to be a lot of innovation because we've seen anywhere in the world where you have major impacts and fallout like this. You find that there are entrepreneurs who see an opportunity to do things better than what they were doing before. And we want to be able to give that support. They shouldn't have to pay or be penalized for innovation. So we want to make sure there's a grant element to that. So that will be wrapped in some of our offerings as we go forward.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Opposition spokesman on finance Julian Robinson is questioning what he sees as the near silence of the portfolio minister on the fiscal implications of the ongoing hurricane recovery effort. Mr. Robinson took the opportunity in Parliament on Tuesday to demand updates from Finance Minister Fayval Williams.
When will the Parliament get a statement from the Minister of Finance which outlines all the monies that we have gotten from the insurances, the monies that we are negotiating with our multilateral agencies, IMF, World Bank, IDB. We know that we have an estimate of US $8 billion. It is anticipated we can probably raise $1 billion US. Where is that shortfall going to come from? What are those funds going to be used for?
The input of the Minister of Finance is considered critical following a natural disaster. It normally falls to the portfolio minister to outline the country's fiscal response to a crisis. The minister has yet to bring legislation to Parliament to suspend the fiscal rules, a duty typically fulfilled by the nation's finance minister. The suspension would see Jamaica putting off key targets requiring fiscal responsible spending, such as the 60% debt to GDP target. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has said the minister will make a statement to Parliament at its next sitting, but Mr. Robinson believes she should have already delivered an update.
We are 4 weeks after the hurricane, and the Minister of Finance is yet to come to the Parliament and tell us how much money we have, how the funds are going to be used. And every other minister can speak, can say many things, but if the Ministry of Finance cannot speak, right?
Julian Robinson, opposition spokesman on finance.
The United Nations UN has approved an additional $4 million disbursement to further assist Jamaica's post-Melissa humanitarian efforts. That's more than 640 million Jamaican dollars. Jamaica's UN resident coordinator Dennis Zulu provided the update at Wednesday's special media briefing.
In the wake of Hurricane Melissa's unprecedented impact, the United Nations has stood firmly with the government and people of Jamaica. Today, we mark another important milestone in our collective response, and I'm therefore pleased to confirm the approval of an extra $4 million from the United Nations Central Emergency Response Fund, CERF, to accelerate life-saving humanitarian activities across the hardest-hit parishes. This $4 million allocation is a clear demonstration of the global solidarity with Jamaica at a time when the needs are immense.
The UN has been one of the key partners providing immediate humanitarian support following the onslaught of the Category 5 system. These include shelter, clean water, food security, and the restoration of essential services. Mr. Zulu says the additional funding will be implemented through 4 UN agencies to further bolster relief efforts.
Through this fund, the IOM will focus on emergency shelter and non-food items for 8,800 of the most vulnerable people, prioritizing last-mile delivery to families whose homes and possessions have been destroyed. WFP will provide cash-based assistance to 10,756 beneficiaries supporting hurricane-affected households. UNICEF will lead water and sanitation and hygiene response, reaching over 220,000 people. Power WHO will support continuity of essential healthcare for 600,000 people, including medical supplies, agent repairs to health facilities, deployment of emergency medical teams, and mental health and psychosocial services.
Dennis Zulu, Jamaica's UN resident coordinator.
There's been an increase in the number of suspected cases and deaths from leptospirosis in the country. That's according to Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton.
We stand, as of the 22nd of November, on record 91 suspected, probable or confirmed cases of the disease, with 10 PCR confirmed cases, 11 deaths, 3 of which are confirmed leptospirosis deaths. The indication from the EPI team collecting the data is that the increase in suspected or confirmed cases is taking place at a decreasing rate. We are expecting, therefore, that it will taper off and then hopefully decline.
The Health Ministry declared an outbreak of leptospirosis last Sunday. The outbreak is as a result of extensive flooding and stagnant water in some parts of the island following the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Leptospirosis is spread through water or soil contaminated by the urine of infected animals. Dr. Tufton says the ministry is working to limit the spread across the island.
We started training to deal with the possibility of a lepto outbreak from before the storm, or just in the immediate aftermath of the storm, even before we could provide data that there was a spike. PAHO is here and they can validate that. We started doing lab training for testing, securing the testing equipment and the materials, sensitizing our doctors or field operatives to look at or reminding them of symptoms so that they can diagnose before lab test results, and of course reminding of treatment.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, Health and Wellness Minister. He was speaking at a media briefing at Jamaica House on Wednesday.
Meanwhile, Medical Officer of Health for Manchester, Dr. Nadine Williams, says there's no leptospirosis outbreak in the parish. She was speaking at Tuesday's local Board of Health meeting at the Manchester Municipal Corporation.
Jamaica is experiencing an outbreak of leptospirosis. It is not anything new to us. We have cases throughout the year, but the numbers would have gone above what we are used to seeing. For the parish of Manchester, we continue to see just 1 to 2 cases per week. From Manchester, we are seeing more cases per week, but these persons are coming from other parishes. And so we, as a parish, are not in an outbreak at this point in time.
Dr. Williams says the department has been called on to assist with treating patients from other parishes who have contracted leptospirosis. She's urging residents to be vigilant when navigating flood waters.
We have been telling persons to, in our health education sessions across the parish, how to prevent themselves from getting leptospirosis. A lot of it comes down to avoiding contaminated water and food, and of course preventing rodents from getting into the homes, but be aware that other animals can also pass urine if they're infected containing the bacteria. And so once the water, like the flood waters, are contaminated and persons go into those waters, even with a break on the skin, they can end up getting leptospirosis.
That's Dr. Nadine Williams, Medical Officer of Health for Manchester.
The National Housing Trust, NHT, has started the process to procure 50% of the semi-permanent housing units to be deployed to those worst impacted by Hurricane Melissa. The trust made the disclosure at a media briefing on Wednesday. Khaleesi Wright reports.
2,500 of the 5,000 homes have already been procured by the trust. The homes are intended to be temporary solutions as the government seeks to rebuild the housing infrastructure in Western Jamaica. Assistant General Manager for Corporate Communications at the NHT, Dwayne Burbick, says the units will be able to withstand certain weather shocks.
The NHT is now in the process of procuring the first 2,500 of what is, in its first instance, 5,000 semi-permanent housing units that we have done quite a bit of research in terms of looking at what is available in the market and what satisfies some of our technical specifications as it relates to building codes and construction, and also what satisfies requirements as it relates to safety and ability to withstand a certain weather phenomenon.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has announced the plans for the procurement of 5,000 pre-built container homes for rapid deployment across the island. Some of these houses will be for purchase through the NHT, and some will be provided to government agencies to aid social housing programs. According to Mr. Burbick, the NHT will erect the units on lands which already have in place other critical infrastructure.
The NHT, in this first phase of the Rapid Housing Deployment Initiative, we're looking at setting up these units on lands owned by the NHT. So our construction and development team, we're currently assessing the status of lands, especially in the St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover areas, that belt. And we're looking at where we had plans for housing development, and there may already exist some amount of supporting infrastructure for sewage, for water already, to see how quickly we can finish that infrastructure and have those units set up.
During the passage of Hurricane Melissa, over 100,000 houses were severely impacted in the western side of the island. At least 25,000 of those were destroyed. Khalesia Wright for Nationwide News.
Thank you, Khalesia. You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
See twice the style for less at IQ Optical. Buy one pair of glasses and get your second and third pair half price. Don't miss out. Call 876-929-7732 or visit IQ Optical today, where clarity never looked sharper.
The time by IQ Optical is
5:17.
Termites, rodents, or birds infesting your home or office? Call Rentokil Initial, the pest expert, at 876-926-4236 for a free pest assessment island-wide. The temperature brought to you by Rentokil Initial is...
It's 30 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 29 in Montego Bay.
Continuing the news, the government is exploring plans to repurpose empty shipping containers as temporary homes for families displaced by Hurricane Melissa. That's according to Transport Minister Darrell Vaz.
There are more than 1,000 empty containers currently sitting idle in the Kingston Harbour. These containers represent more unused steel. They represent over 1,000 potential rapid deployment temporary homes with manageable retrofitting for light ventilation and sanitation. That is a good idea because they are sitting there facing the elements of the salt air every day, and they have been there for many months.
The move is in addition to plans already announced to acquire 5,000 pre-built container homes to address the housing crisis. Those structures are expected to begin arriving by late January, with the first units allocated to those who suffered the most damage. Hurricane Melissa damaged over 150,000 dwellings and displaced more than 90,000 families. Minister Vaz says he has already made contact with the shipping agencies.
We are working with our partners, the shipping agencies who own these, to see what can happen, whether or not we can get access to some of them, even if it is as a temporary solution for those who don't even have a tarpaulin over their head. I look forward to a favorable response. I've written formally to each of them, and all of them have said that they will come back to me in short order.
Darrell Vaz, Transport Minister, he was speaking during Tuesday's sitting of the House of Representatives.
Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie has denied claims from the opposition PNP that it has not been included in the National Hurricane Response Mechanism. Minister McKenzie says opposition leader Mark Golding is represented on the official Disaster Response Committee.
Based on the structure of the National Disaster Response Committee, the Prime Minister is the chairman, I am the deputy chairman, the leader of the opposition is a member of that committee. We do have meetings, and I recall having several meetings during burial that we invited the opposition spokesperson on local government. I don't want the impression to be given that the government is bypassing the opposition.
Desmond McKenzie, Local Government Minister.
In news just in, there's been a major crash involving a minibus along the east-west highway in the vicinity of Old Harbour, St. Catherine. At least 10 people have been injured. 5 of them are confirmed dead. It's believed a tire blew out, causing the driver to lose control of the vehicle. Motorists are being urged to proceed with caution. We'll have more in subsequent newscasts.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
The Trump administration is again seeking to end humanitarian protection for Haitians in the U.S. A notice from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security published today announced the end of temporary protected status TPS for some 353,000 Haitians on February 3. It said the end of Haiti TPS states that certain conditions in Haiti remain concerning, including large-scale displacement. But the notice adds that permitting Haitian nationals to remain temporarily in the United States is contrary to the U.S. national interest. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem also stated that there's no extraordinary and temporary conditions in Haiti that would prevent migrants from returning. The move to the TPS for Haitians comes despite spiraling violence in Haiti that has displaced more than 1 million people. The International Organization for Migration says more than 1.4 million Haitians have been displaced by violence and instability. UNICEF estimated in October that over 6 million people, more than half the population, including 3.3 million children, need humanitarian assistance.
2 members of the National Guard were shot on Wednesday in a busy area near the White House in downtown Washington, putting the building into lockdown. Their condition remains unknown up to news time. A Trump administration official said the suspected shooter had been transported to hospital with gunshot wounds. The motive for the shooting is not clear. In a social media post, Trump called the suspected shooter an animal who would pay a very steep price. He also praised the National Guard. National Guard soldiers have been in Washington since August when Trump deployed them to the streets as part of his crackdown on immigration and crime in Democratic-led cities. As of Wednesday, there were about 2,200 National Guard troops in Washington.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, there's been a major crash involving a minibus along the east-west highway in the vicinity of Old Harbour, St. Catherine. At least 10 people have been injured. 5 of them are confirmed dead.
Relief coming for businesses as DBJ launches $11 billion hurricane recovery fund.
The opposition is questioning the silence of Finance Minister Fayval Williams on the economy following Hurricane Melissa.
We are 4 weeks after the hurricane, and the Minister of Finance is yet to come to the Parliament and tell us how much money we have, how the funds are going to be used.
The NHT has started procurement for 50% of the 5,000 temporary homes needed for areas worst hit by the hurricane.
Leptospirosis cases continue to rise. I'm Robeanne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at revonews.ai and on the Revo News app. It's available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Don't fall victim to deepfakes.
Watch out.
Protect yourself.
What is the
For more
on TV?
information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or
Here ya,
scan
baby.
the QR code on screen.
Deepfake. No deepfake can't catch me.
Junior, you know say AI can make something will look and sound just like you? One day Junior get a voice note from her granny. Say the food done, the medication done, and she need money urgently.
Need money urgently? But Miss Pat no like ask people for things.
And as so comes, Judy get suspicious.
So what she do?
She asks the neighbor to go check pan her. Junior, the lady quite alright over there make her Sunday dinner.
So the voice note a deep fake?
Yes, my love. Come, your food ready.
Right now it look like we have to outsmart the AI. But wait, I really want dege dumpling you give me.
Me I wonder if AI can make one deep fake dumpling for you.
To learn more about deepfakes, visit www.broadcastingcommission.org.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. The West Indies a short time ago declared on their overnight 365 for 5. This on day 2 of their two-day game against the New Zealand Board 11 over at Lincoln University. The New Zealand 11, in reply, they're 9 for 2 at the moment. Kemar Roach and Anderson Phillip getting the wickets for the West Indies. The platform for the imposing total was laid by the openers Tajnarain Chanderpaul and John Campbell. They shared in a 130-run opening stand. Campbell weighing in with 68, Chanderpaul 85. Also getting good scores, Brandon King, he made 79, and Kavim Hodge, he made 55. This is the lone warm-up game for the West Indies before they take on New Zealand in the opening test match in Christchurch, and it starts next week. St. James-based Malden High School, they've been forced to withdraw from this season's ISA, the Costa Cup schoolboy football competition. The school was one of the hardest hit during the passage of Hurricane Melissa on October 28th. And along with Magotty and the Manning schools, they were among 5 institutions of concern to ISA when they had discussions as it regards restarting the schoolboy football season. Coach Dylan Telwell spoke with Nationwide Sports today, and he said they simply could not continue because of the lack of personnel.
We tried to have training from last week. We cannot reach out to some of the players, and the number is like 3 and 4. Yesterday I got 4. So it's really difficult to have players that lose their homes and stuff like that, uniforms, and the school is up in the country, so the whole structure is not really strong for most of the players, and I don't see most of them coming out for training. And even the communication situation is really difficult because once the light gone there's no phone you cannot use.
Yeah, and Telwell said just a few days before they were scheduled to take on Christian High School in their second round of 16 game at Manchester High School, the school just got together and decided it was time.
It was yesterday the principal have a meeting with the HOD and some other persons and decide that based on the number of players that turning up from last week, that it don't make sense based on the hurricane has passed and do so much damage physically to most students' home and everything, So it's really crazy.
That's Dylan Telwell, coach of Malden High School. The school created history this season. They got out of the group stage for the first time in the history of the school, and they finished behind St. Elizabeth Technical in their group. Now, the rest of the Costa Cup schedule on Saturday, we'll see Manchester High School hosting Dental Tech. William, they will take on Cornwall College, that game at Drax Hall. St. Elizabeth Technical, they'll take on Old Harbour. That game at Stets in Santa Cruz. Kempsey and the Ocherius will battle at Fogo Road. The big game is in Chapelton. Clarendon College against Glenmuir High School, and last season's beaten finalist McGrath will take on the Manning School at Ewerton Sports Complex. Into this round of 16 actually continues on Friday with a lone game, and it features the defending champions Garvey Maceo. They'll take on Magotty, that game to be played at the Wembley Centre of Excellence. Miguel Coley has agreed to accept the interim assistant coaching job for Jamaica's Inter-Confederation playoffs in Mexico next March. Coley, who was assistant to head coach Winfred Schaefer a few years ago, agreed to the role following the finalization of a deal with the Jamaica Football Federation that happened on Wednesday. Coley will now work alongside interim head coach Rudolph Speed forming part of the technical team for Jamaica's campaign in that particular Interconfederation playoff. And the 43-year-old Coley will commence his duties just like Speed on December 15. Their contract will run until March 31 next year. And the Federation mentioned last week that if both the gentlemen were successful in taking the team to the World Cup, then their contract will be extended. If not, they'll be starting the search for a full-time coach. Coley, of course, is a pro license holder and he's been working in the Middle East for the past 7 years, and he currently serves as the B team head coach of Qatar Stars League team Salal. English Premier League leaders Arsenal have taken over top spot in the European Champions League standings. They've registered a stylish 3-1 win over previous leaders Bayern Munich of Germany in their top-of-the-table clash in the heart of London today at the Emirates. The Gunners were powered to victory by the Dutch international star Julian Timber. Also goals coming from Noni Madueke and one from Gabriel Martinelli.
Saka to take it, the familiar lineup for Arsenal with the ball at the far post, and then they start to run in. It's good delivery! It's another goal and a fine season for Julian Timber. That's towards Gnabry, it's a good ball as well, it's in there now to go, it's 1-1. Calafiori involved for the first time since coming on. Great cross! And it's finished off by Brian Mamaleke. And he's in behind Kinnick and he's away from the keeper, and he's got an open goal, it's Martinelli!
The Gunners are now on 15 points and they're the only unbeaten team left in the Champions League. Former champions Real Madrid climbed to 5th as Kylian Mbappe scored all their goals in a 4-3 win away to Olympiacos in Greece. Today, the Portuguese star Vitinha bagged a hat-trick. The champions, Paris Saint-Germain, they came from behind twice to outscore Tottenham Hotspur 5-3 in a wild game at the Parc des Princes in Paris. And Liverpool woes worsened. They crashed to a 4-1 defeat at home to PSV Eindhoven of the Netherlands. And that's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
For all your custom framing, printing, graphic design, and purchase of art, Make It Frame Art Jamaica Limited, serving you for over 40 years. The time by Frame Art Jamaica is
5:32.
From Kingston to the world, from Montego Bay to new adventures, and from Ocherias to endless possibilities. Wherever you're headed, we will proudly take you there. Jamaica's Airport, your global gateway. The temperature brought to you by the Airports Authority of Jamaica is
30 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 29 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Jamaica, we have weathered many storms. Sometimes a helping hand makes all the difference.
That's why the Ministry of Labour and Social Security is working tirelessly, along with parish disaster committees, the Jamaica Defence Force, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, government agencies and the private sector, and other valued local and international partners, bringing relief to thousands of families affected by Hurricane Melissa. Together we rebuild. Together we emerge stronger. For further information, call our Client Care Center at 876-922-8013. Send us a WhatsApp message at 876-582-8972 or 876-849-8614 or email us at clientcare@mlss.gov.jm.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Security, the People's Ministry, leaving no one behind.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. JPS is urging customers not to pay anyone to have their electricity service reconnected. Customers are reminded that unauthorized reconnections can be extremely dangerous and can result in serious injury, electrocution, or damage to property. This practice is unethical, illegal, and could delay restoration efforts. If anyone claiming to represent JPS requests payment for reconnection services, report it immediately to the nearest police station or JPS. JPS thanks all customers for their patience as teams continue working to restore power safely and as quickly as possible. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
SCL Jamaica Limited is having a big blowout sale. Up to 70% off on Milwaukee tools. From power drills to saws, their top-notch Milwaukee tools will handle any project with ease. Hurry to SCL Jamaica Limited at Block L, Sagicor Industrial Center, 7 Norman Road, or call 876-938-1397 for more details. Sale runs November 10 to 28. Terms and conditions apply. Milwaukee, nothing but heavy duty.
A very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5. It's time for the cover story. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Good afternoon, Siobhan.
Good afternoon, Sir Brooks.
Good afternoon to the listeners. We begin with some distressing news. There's been a major crash involving a minibus along the East-West Highway in the vicinity of Old Harbour in St. Catherine. We have with us now the head of the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, Dr. Gary McKenzie, to give us an update. Good afternoon, ACP.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good afternoon, listeners and viewers.
Thank you so much for joining us at such short notice. What can you tell us about what's happening on the highway?
Well, you prefaced it by saying that, it was a distressing moment, and yes, it is. What we have discovered based on our investigation is that at about 3 p.m., a Toyota Hiace motor truck, which is one of those minibuses plying the route from Mandeville to Spanish Town, was traveling easterly along the P.J. Patterson Highway when on reaching the vicinity of Sharper Lane or Old Harbour. For some reason, the vehicle veered to the left, went off the roadway, overturned. As a result of that, some 20 or so passengers that were on board were injured. Unfortunately, 3 males and 2 females have been confirmed dead, and there are others that are being treated. There was a one-year-old child, male, on the vehicle. Fortunately, that child is not very seriously injured based on the report.
ACP, I see here in our reporting that apparently the tire blew out. Have you heard differently?
Well, that is just something that you would have heard. We have not concluded our investigation as yet. I am not saying that that may not be a possibility, but we cannot confirm that that is the reason why we have the crash.
And from the preliminary investigations and the information you're getting, would speeding have been a factor here?
Definitely so. The result of the vehicle crashing, being damaged in the manner that it is, as well as the nature of the injuries, clearly suggests that the vehicle was traveling at a very good speed. We must remember, though, that that particular stretch of roadway is a 110 kilometers per hour roadway. It requires driving by persons to be very focused, responsible, and the vehicle in proper condition. And more so for a public passenger vehicle, those things I have just mentioned is absolutely necessary.
And ACP, based on some images we're seeing, it appears that the deceased were thrown from the vehicle, or is it a situation where they were just removed? Because we see them lying in various states in bushes. Can you say anything about what happened there?
Right. So what generally happens in a situation like this is that we could have persons being thrown from the vehicle, as well as when the vehicle crashed and came to rest, persons are scrambling to get out, others are trying to assist other persons. Sometimes passers-by try to do that as well. Hence the reason why persons could be seen at different locations.
Yeah.
And tell us, ACP, 20 individuals on the highest bus, is that the normal amount of people expected to be on such a vehicle, in such a vehicle?
Right. So that particular vehicle should actually be a 16-seater. And so the fact that there was 4 or 5 more persons in it indicates that the vehicle would be traveling with excess passenger, which, of course, is a breach of the law.
Yeah.
And would that impact the ability to control it, especially at high speeds?
Certainly. Manufacturers of vehicles will have what is known as laden and unladen weight. And certainly when vehicles are traveling, what happens when we have loads that are not fixed, meaning that we are talking about people who are movable, then certainly weight transfer, depending on what happened in the case of a sudden swerve or making a corner, could cause weight transfer that may affect maneuverability. That can also, be severe in the case of a driver not paying attention and not being able to maneuver as best as he can under the circumstance.
Yeah. ACP, we're entering the Yuletide season. This is usually a time when people, they go partying, and for whatever reason, it appears to me that they become a bit more reckless on the roads. Any appeal, any word to Jamaicans as we begin the festive season?
Right. So there are 2 things that we have that could affect thinking and behavior, especially for this Christmas. One is that we had a disaster. We had Melissa, and so a lot of persons would have lost, would have suffered. There is some drought as it relates to income, earnings, and so on, and we are just getting back on track. So, persons will want to try and catch up and recover, and we are coming on to a season where people generally move a bit faster, especially persons who drive for profit, such as commercial and public passenger vehicle operators. And so persons will want to move in haste to garner as much benefits as they can. And that sometimes causes an issue, because where persons, for example, drive at excessive speeds, then it becomes more dangerous for themselves and other road users. And inevitably we have problems. As a matter of fact, we have recognized that in such a way that we have already increased the number of highway patrols on that specific section of the highway.
Is it a known hotspot?
It is a known hotspot. And so it is really very unfortunate, and certainly has gone against what we really expect to happen, because of the kind of care that we have decided to take in terms of policing that section of the road.
Yeah. ACP Gary Mackenzie is the head of P-STEP. Thank you so much for your time, ACP. I appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Dr. Gary Mackenzie there. And the news, about 20 people were in this minibus. The capacity, 16-seater, he said.
Yes.
20 were on board, and 5 so far have been confirmed dead. Yeah? Really, really sad. All right, so we're going to take the break. And after the break, the DBJ is giving a lifeline to businesses.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall.
Upper Total Tools.
Weed whacker figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand.
Total Tools.
We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When you say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option. Total Tools located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Sly Road, Kingston, and Lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
We in this together, hands on hearts spread wide. We know things will get better, working side by side. We in this together, rebuilding homes and lives, no matter the weather. You are not alone.
Sagicor is contributing over $200 million to Jamaica's Hurricane Melissa recovery. We're also standing by our clients. If you're a client in need of support, call 888-SAGICOR.
Welcome back, listeners, viewers. As said, we are turning gears a bit over to the DBJ, which has launched an $11 billion program to assist businesses to recover from the impact of Hurricane Melissa. Managing Director Dr. David Lowe gave a breakdown of the initiative during an OPM media briefing today. Dr. Lowe says the program was carefully tailored following the input of various stakeholders. Well, to discuss this further, we are joined by President of the Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, that's Antoinette Hamilton, and the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association first female president, that's Catherine Silvera. Good evening, ladies.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening to you both. Starting with you, Antoinette, your reaction to the news coming from the DBJ, this $11 billion broken down to 5, 20 and 50 million loans based on the kind of support needed.
Well, first of all, let me commend the managing director for his approach to finding solutions for MSMEs. I think his approach is very inclusive because he has always invited us to get our feedback on what we think about their plans. So let me commend him on that. In terms of the package is very good. Especially the working capital support, that was not a part of their package before, and so that is something new, and that would definitely help MSMEs. The refinancing option, that is also very good because what it means is that persons who have high interest rate facilities can come in and refinance to get a more affordable monthly repayment. So that is excellent. And I've seen where they have increased the threshold from 30 million in terms of a loan to now 50 million. So that is good. In terms of the grant, though, I was expecting a little more detail, so I'm not able to speak definitively on that. I think it mentioned innovation. Mm-hmm. But yes. What I would suggest to the managing director is that in deciding how the grant works, consider not letting it be too onerous for MSMEs to qualify, especially those that are badly affected by Melissa. Previously, grants were structured in a way that, you had to produce certain requirements to even access it, just the same. We're saying, given the situation now, we're not expecting those requirements to be onerous because the truth is, yes, you're promoting innovation, but at this point, our small businesses need inventory, they need construction materials, they just need to get back on their feet, and they may not be in the best position right now to be thinking innovatively.
Yeah. Catherine Silvera, the JMEA, how do you see this offer? Catherine? No. Not hearing Catherine Silvera. So we still have with us President of the Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Antoinette Catherine? Okay. No. Antoinette?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, what are you hearing from the small and medium-sized businesses out west in terms of how they're coping at this time?
Well, certainly in Savlamar, Negril, the main concern is the lack of electricity, which we know is going to take some time. know JPS, in a previous interview they had on your program, spoke about a recovery time of about February, March, even though the minister is adamant that they need it by January, which would be awesome. So that's the main concern, because when you really look at that time frame, when you look at a business loan, that can go bad in, that's 3 months, right? Before the bank start calling you.
I'm sorry. Studio, I'm sorry, we're getting a feedback. Yes. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Antoinette.
Right. So in terms of just keeping MSMEs, sane, I'm hearing a feedback. I'm hearing myself.
All right. Could you just hold for us? Let's just take a break and sort out the line. We're talking to Antoinette Hamilton. She's the president of the Micro, Small, and Medium-Sized Enterprises, and we should be joined by Catherine Silveira, the president of the JMEA. Soon come.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dark,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between. Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings, each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Boyatings After Dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Boyatings After Dark.
We're back with you, and we're discussing $11 billion recovery program from the Development Bank of Jamaica, an effort to boost businesses in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. We have with us the president of the Micro, Small, and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Antoinette Hamilton, and the president of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, JMEA. Catherine Silveira, are you there now?
Yes, I'm hoping you're hearing me.
Yes, clearly. All right, so I wanted your reaction to the offer from the DBJ.
I was agreeing with Antoinette that I think it's very timely. Businesses need this level of injection. And with Dr. Lowe, since he's come on board, he has, as Antoinette said, been in contact with the different associations to hear our feedback, not only from the directors, but from our members. And so we do think that he has taken this on, and it's very timely. So we do commend him, as Antoinette said, for providing this $11 billion.
And in terms of for the unique needs of the manufacturers and exporters, the DBJ spoke to the collateral assistance being provided. I can imagine that for a lot of those businesses out west, it's not a matter that they'll be able to find that collateral. So I'm assuming that is very much in the way of appreciated.
Oh, definitely. And the fact that any fees associated with the loan are going to be wrapped up into the loan as well. So that's something that DBJ has been trending to do, and so we appreciate that they're considering that with this this fund as well. So we just need to ensure that, these loans are helped by the different associations like the JMEA and the MSME Alliance, because what we find is the businesses that need it the most are the ones that don't necessarily meet all of the requirements. And especially in this time, we want to make sure that the hand-holding is there to ensure that our micro and small members really get the support and the access to the loans that they need.
And do you have any projection, Catherine, and also Antoinette, as to how long that hand-holding may be necessary as we seek to recover from this hurricane?
Well, let me say that one of the main requirements and hurdles for many small business providing the audited financial statement. And that is not something that probably happens overnight, but certainly if persons would have had their receipts and bills, etc., washed away, we can still use the bank statement to somewhat, put something together to assist them with that process. But at this point, you also have MSMEs who already have loan facilities who, in waiting on electricity, which is going to take 3 months, which will put their loan in default, have to think about that and may not be in a position to think about taking an additional loan, but more so probably take up the refinancing option or the grant, because right now they need generators, some need to replace inventory, some need to get their business roof, whether it's an office or manufacturing plant, replaced. So, and some need working capital support because of the fallout for the last month. So, a loan facility, while the working capital facility is excellent, and I'm hoping that interest rate remains at 8%. I know the tenure is 10 years, so that should allow for a much smaller repayment, monthly repayment. That is good. The grants, however, may also be necessary or is necessary and urgent right now. And so our advocacy is that DBJ considers making the grant facility easy to access by those badly affected and not, being unaccessible because they don't meet certain requirements at this time.
And define easily accessible for us. I know you spoke to the audited financials being a requirement, but certainly some level of accountability and decent governance on the part of the business is a necessity.
Yes. So what we're saying is, once you're a registered business, that could be the first step, because it must benefit to be registered, right? As opposed to being informal. So that could be a first step. So once you're a registered business, that's the first level of qualification for the grant in terms of preference. And then you may want to have a TCC, right? To show that you're tax compliant. But when it comes to the financial statements, which sometimes are required for a grant, that is where it becomes onerous on the business owner, because producing a financial statement can be very costly.
Yeah. Catherine?
Going to be wrapped up into the loan facility, so it's not necessarily a standalone grant, but it would be part of the 50 million loan for the rebuilding, which is why they had said about it being about resilience and innovation. So I agree that we need to advocate for the DBJ to maybe help the hand-holding process and be a little maybe laxer on some of the requirements, as Antoinette is suggesting. I think, once you're registered, you have a TCC, you're making your tax payments regularly. These are steps that could be taken to help, and us as the associations can also help with hand-holding. I do believe that in the first instance, that $1 billion is the more immediate term over the next 2 to 3 months of helping to refinance those higher interest loans at a rate of about 8%, whereas the remainder of the $11 billion is for those longer term rebuilding type loans, and those I haven't been able to get an understanding of what that rate is. It would probably be a blended rate because it's obviously a much larger amount of 50 million per company, or up to 50 million per company. And so it would definitely have to go through an MFI or AFI, which would have a blended rate. But I do, strongly encourage and advocate that the DBJ works with these banks to try and get the interest rates as low as possible, because that is really what our affected businesses need at this time, especially our micro and small members. They can't be paying higher interest rates to rebuild their businesses.
And I also Sorry, go ahead, Antoinette.
I'm happy that Catherine clarified how the grant works for me, because if the grant is going to be tied to a loan, that is going to create some serious problems for recovery for our mostly affected MSMEs in the West. I foresee that. What we would have hoped is that, and as I said, it's still time for the managing director to revisit how they approach that. What I foresee is that the grant is separated right? But there are requirements that you still have to meet to access it. To tie a grant to a loan when these small businesses already have cash flow issues before Melissa, because as you know, the economy wasn't as vibrant, it is like a double whammy, right?
But tell me, do you understand, though, that the grant is in a specific instant case where it's expected that you're using this to build resilience or innovate in some way that you probably would never need another such grant again to get back on your feet? So I'm assuming it means policies that would make the business more readily protected against something like a hurricane at Category 5. That is my understanding, that it's not just a grant to get the business back on track, which is most likely why it's tied to the loan.
Right, and I think that, you know, there may be other instances of grants that might be coming. I know the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce is working through their agencies to see what other avenues can be presented, which we haven't heard back from, but they have had several meetings with us. And I know that they have some of their staff members going out into the trade, into the affected areas to visit businesses and see what can be done. So, I mean, I think there is more to come. I hope that there is more to come. But this is just a first step in sharing a facility, the largest that the DBJ, I think, has ever announced. And it's very timely coming after Hurricane Melissa.
Yeah. Catherine Silvera, Antoinette Hamilton, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Antoinette Hamilton is the president of the Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, and Catherine Silvera is the president of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association. It's time for the headlines.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is...
A minute after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. 5 people have been confirmed dead following a crash involving a minibus along the east-west highway in the vicinity of Old Harbour, St. Catherine. Vice Chairman of the National Road Safety Council, Dr. Lucian Jones, confirmed the details.
I was just informed this evening that there was a terrible crash on the east-west highway approaching the Vineyards Toll Road, and that 5 persons have died and that 9 persons were taken to the Spanish Town Hospital. A few of them critically injured, others not so badly injured. 3 men have died and 2 females, and one of the injured is a 2-year-old child.
Dr. Jones says it appears a tire blew out, causing the driver to lose control of the vehicle.
The report says that a tire blew out. The question is whether or not the vehicle was traveling high speeds is to be the subject of investigation. And the minivan hit against a guardrail and flipped several times. And that's why we had so many injuries. It means that a total of 342 people have died for this year. Coming at a time when for a number of days we had no fatalities reported by the police. So this is a sudden jolt and a reminder to all of us that we need to drive on the roads with extreme care and to slow down and to make sure that the vehicles in which we are driving and the drivers who are driving these vehicles ensure that we have safe vehicles.
Dr. Lucian Jones, Vice Chairman of the National Road Safety Council. The Development Bank of Jamaica, DBJ, has launched an $11 billion program to assist businesses to recover from the impact of Hurricane Melissa. Managing Director Dr. David Lowe gave a breakdown of the initiative during an OPM media briefing on Wednesday.
This program is a $10 billion Jamaican recovery fund designed to assist in recovery, resilience, after the passage of Hurricane Melissa. The funding is broken into 3 key phases and stages of deployment. The first is a $1 billion Jamaican fund available to all of the AFIs and MFIs, which are our partners in the financial sector, and they have immediate access to this $1 billion fund, which is part of DBJ's current balance sheet. The second phase, which was approved at Cabinet this week, is $3 billion. Thereafter, there's a further commitment of $7 billion Jamaican dollars, which will assist in the overall rebuilding of particular sectors, supply chains, and other economic actors.
Dr. Lowe also gave a breakdown of the 3 categories under which the fund will operate. It will offer loans of $5, $20, and $50 million.
The framework has 3 distinct product windows. The first, we have coined the name the refinance window. These are businesses that might have been indirectly affected, which already have credit facilities. And what we've done is to look at how we can engage in an assessment of terms, relax certain issues that can allow them to continue and have some breathing space. The second is what we refer to as the reboot window. And this is also what we have referenced as a light touch. You may have just some short-term needs. You have inventory to be replaced. You have some infrastructure damage that's not material to your ongoing operations, but you need to get back to where you were pre-storm. And the most important, which is the rebuild window, which is a longer phase engagement. And these are businesses that have pretty much been totally disrupted.
Dr. David Lowe, Managing Director of the DBJ. The United Nations UN has approved an additional $4 million disbursement to further assist Jamaica's post-Melissa humanitarian efforts. That's more than 640 million Jamaican dollars. Jamaica's UN resident coordinator Dennis Zulu provided the update at Wednesday's special media briefing.
In the wake of Hurricane Melissa's unprecedented impact, the United Nations has stood firmly with the government and people of Jamaica. Today, we mark another important milestone in our collective response, and I'm therefore pleased to confirm the approval of an extra $4 million from the United Nations Central Emergency Response Fund, CERF, to accelerate life-saving humanitarian activities across the hardest-hit parishes. This $4 million allocation is a clear demonstration of the global solidarity with Jamaica at a time when the needs are immense.
The UN has been one of the key partners providing immediate humanitarian support following the onslaught of the Category 5 system. These include shelter, clean water, food security, and the restoration of essential services. Mr. Zulu says the additional funding will be implemented through 4 UN agencies to further bolster relief efforts.
Through this fund, the IOM will focus on emergency shelter and non-food items for 8,800 of the most vulnerable people, prioritizing last-mile delivery to families whose homes and possessions have been destroyed. WFP will provide cash-based assistance to 10,756 beneficiaries supporting hurricane-affected households. UNICEF will lead water and sanitation and hygiene response, reaching over 220,000 people. Power WHO will support continuity of essential healthcare for 600,000 people, including medical supplies, agent repairs to health facilities, deployment of emergency medical teams, and mental health and psychosocial services.
Dennis Zulu, Jamaica's UN resident coordinator. There's been an increase in the number of suspected cases and deaths from leptospirosis in the country. That's according to Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton.
We stand, as of the 22nd of November, on record 91 suspected, probable or confirmed cases of the disease, with 10 PCR confirmed cases, 11 deaths, 3 of which are confirmed leptospirosis deaths. The indication from the EPI team collecting the data is that the increase in suspected or confirmed cases is taking place at a decreasing rate. We are expecting, therefore, that it will taper off and then hopefully decline.
The Health Ministry declared an outbreak of leptospirosis last Sunday. The outbreak is as a result of extensive flooding and stagnant water in some parts of the island following the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Dr. Tufton says the ministry is working to limit the spread across the island.
We started training to deal with the possibility of a lepto outbreak from before the storm or just in the immediate aftermath of the storm, even before we could provide data that there was a spike. PAHO is here and they can validate that. We started doing lab training for testing, securing the testing equipment and the materials, sensitizing our doctors or field operatives to look at or reminding them of symptoms so that they can diagnose before lab test results, and of course reminding of treatment.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, Health and Wellness Minister. He was speaking at a media briefing at the Jamaica House on Wednesday. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Sports is next.
To do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy, all in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
Outperform, outlast, with top performance, Chakama, reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Fancy electrodes, free parts and free repairs. Free parts, free repairs. With 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61124. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
Merry moments with Mitsubishi. You're rolling with we are easy breezy. For the Christmas, you know you're rolling in style. Merry moments with Mitsubishi. Merry moments, fire a sport Outlander, we cruising. Win cool gifts with the vehicle you're choosing. Eclipse cross with the family you're moving. Merry moments with Mitsubishi. Outlander sport key under Christmas tree. Grand prize win a staycation for 2. Merry moments with Mitsubishi.
Conditions apply.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alric Swaby. We bowl things off with some cricket as the West Indies declared on their overnight 346 for 5 against the New Zealand 11 on the second day of their 2-day tour game in Lincoln. The New Zealand 11 reached 9 for 2 in reply when rain stopped playing. Kamara Rhodes and Anderson Phillips have so far taken a wicket each. The Windies' platform for the imposing total was laid by the opening pair of Tajnarayan Chandapal and Jan Campbell, who posted a solid 130-run partnership for the first wicket. Chandapal top-scored with a composed 85, while Campbell added a fluent 68, giving the tourist early control in helpful batting conditions. Middle-order batsman Brandon King continued the momentum with an attractive 79, and Kevin Hodge chipped in with a well-crafted 55, ensuring the West Indies maintained pressure throughout the day. This match served as the team's only warm-up ahead of next week's first test against New Zealand in Christchurch. England under-19s kept their 7-match one-day international series alive with a tense 2-wicket victory over the West Indies under-19s in the 5th one-day international at the National Stadium in Grenada. The result narrows the host lead to 3-2 with 2 matches remaining. Batting first, the young West Indians posted a competitive 276 for 9 from 50 overs, anchored by a composed 87 from Zachary Carter. Matthew Miller added a valuable 44, helping stabilize the innings at key moments. England's bowlers shared the wickets with Farhan Ahmed, Luke Hans and Manny Lumsden, each collecting 2 wickets to restrict the host from pushing beyond the 300. Chasing 277, England's top order delivered under pressure, reaching the target with an over to spare. Ben Dawkins fell just short of a century, scoring an impressive 97, while Isaac Mohammed struck 74 from 75 balls to keep the chase on track. Despite strong efforts from Jakeem Pollard and Vittel Laws, who each took 3 wickets, England's middle order held their nerve to complete the win at 277 for 8. Now to football, as St. James-based Maldon High has been forced to withdraw from this season's Issa Da Costa Cup competition. The school was one of the hardest hit during the passage of Hurricane Melissa on October 28, and along with Magate and the Manning School, among 5 institutions of major concern to Issa when discussion took place to have a restart to the season. Coach Dylan Telwell told Nationwide Sports on Wednesday that they simply could not continue due to the lack of personnel.
We tried to have training from last week. We cannot reach out to some of the players, and the number is like 3 and 4. Yesterday I got 4, so it's really difficult to have players that lose their homes and stuff like that, uniforms, and the school is up in the country, so the whole structure is not really strong for most of the players, and I don't see most of them coming out for training. And even the communication situation is really difficult because once the light gone there's no phone you cannot use.
Telwell says with just a few days before they face Christiana in their next round of 16 game at Manchester High on Saturday, the school decided it was time.
It was yesterday the principal have a meeting with the HOD and some other persons and decide that based on the number of players that turning up from last week, that it don't make sense based on the hurricane have passed and do so much damage physically to most students' home and everything, So it's really crazy.
Dylan Telwell, Maldon created history by advancing out of the group stage for the first time in their history when they finished second to St. Elizabeth Tech. The rest of the Da Costa Cup schedule on Saturday will see Manchester High hosting Dilton Tech, William Knibb facing Cornwall at Draxall, Stets versus Old Arbor in Santa Cruz, Kempshill will battle Otterius at Fogo Road. The big game is in Chapelton with Clarendon College facing Glenmuir High, and last season's beaten finalist McGrath taking on the Manning School at Uwerton Sports Club. Champions Garvey Masia will be in action on Friday against Magate at Wembley Centre of Excellence. Miguel Coley has agreed to accept the interim assistant coaching job for Jamaica's Inter-Confederation playoffs in Mexico next March. Coley was the assistant to head coach Winfred Schaefer a few years ago, agreed to the role following finalization of a deal with the Jamaica Football Federation on Wednesday. Coley will now work alongside interim head coach Rudolph Speed, forming part of the technical team. The 43-year-old Coley, like Speed, will commence his duty on December 15. Coley is an APO license holder and has been working in the Middle East for the past 7 years. He currently serves as the head coach of Qatar Stars League team Salal Reserve Unit. Jamaica will face South Pacific Island, New Caledonia on March 26, 2026, with the winners going on to face Democratic Republic of the Congo for a place at the FIFA World Cup. Theodore Whitmore, head coach of Mount Pleasant Academy, says he's pleased with the display of his team in the first leg of the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup final against Universidad O&M in Santo Domingo on Tuesday night. Kimoni Bailey scored in the 88th minute to give the Centurion-based outfit a narrow 1-0 victory. Whitmore says a victory and a clean sheet on the road was just what they desired.
First and foremost, we're glad for the victory. I think we could have scored 1 or 2 more goals, but we didn't concede. We came out with a clean sheet. The O&M team didn't create any chances. I think it is a desired result that we needed away from home. So again, pleased with the performance.
The teams will meet again next Tuesday in Kingston, where the winners on aggregate will be crowned Caribbean champions, and Whitmore is hoping to celebrate in front of the home support.
Well, very important. It's the 12th man. I think the fans, the Centurion people deserve it. I think Jamaica, with what is happening there at the moment, I think the Jamaican fans deserve it. So it's just for us to go away next week and pull it off.
Theodore Whitmore. And Stella Morris beat Hagley Park 6-1 in the Jessa Under-12 football tournament on Wednesday. Other winners include Trafalgar, Portmore Missionary, and St. Peter and Paul. English Premier League leaders Arsenal have taken over top spot in the European Champions League standings after a stylish 3-1 win over previous leaders Bayern Munich in their top-of-the-table clash at the Emirates on Wednesday. The Gunners were powered to victory by Jurrien Timber, Noni Madueke and Gabriel Martinelli.
Saka to take it, the familiar lineup for Arsenal with the ball at the far post, and then they start to run in. It's good delivery! It's another goal in a fine season for Jurrien Timber. That's towards Gnabry, it's a good ball as well, it's in there now to Cards! 1-1. Calafiori involved for the first time since coming on. Great cross! And it's finished off by Ronnie Madueke. And he's in behind Kinnick, and he's away from the keeper, and he's got an open goal. It's Martinelli!
The Gunners are now 15 points and are the only unbeaten team left in the competition. Former champions Real Madrid climbed to fifth as Kylian Mbappe scored all their goals in a 4-3 win away to Olympiacos. Portuguese star Vitinha bagged a hat-trick as champions Paris Saint-Germain came from behind twice to outscore Tottenham Hotspur 5-3. Liverpool's woes worsened. They crashed 4-1 at home to PSV Eindhoven. Now, the Indian city of Ahmedabad will host the centenary edition of the Commonwealth Games in 2030, a landmark decision announced amid a vibrant celebration in Glasgow. Orion Buchanan tells us more.
Ahmedabad, located in western India, was officially confirmed as the host city for the 100th anniversary of the Commonwealth Games. The decision was ratified on Wednesday, following a strong recommendation last month from Commonwealth Sports Evaluation Committee, which favored Ahmedabad over the rival bid from Abuja, Nigeria. City leaders in Ahmedabad say they aim to, quote, lay the foundation for the next 100 years as they prepare to stage only the second Commonwealth Games ever held in India. Organizers have announced that 15 to 17 sports will feature in 2030, more than the 10 scheduled for next year's Reimagined Games in Glasgow, but fewer than the 19 on the program in Birmingham in 2022. Confirmed so far are athletics, swimming, table tennis, bowls, and weightlifting, along with the parasport events. They'll be joined by artistic gymnastics, netball, and boxing, with the remaining sports to be finalized from December. A wide slate is under review, including archery, badminton, 3-on-3 basketball, beach volleyball, T20 cricket, cycling, diving, hockey, judo, rhythmic gymnastics, rugby sevens, shooting, squash, triathlon, and wrestling. Organizers say Ahmedabad will also be allowed to propose up to 2 new or traditional Indian sports for inclusion, a move that could bring a distinctly local flavor to the Games. The centenary event is planned for October 2030, a schedule chosen to ensure optimal weather conditions for athletes and spectators. Orion Buchanan, reporting for Nationwide Sports.
Thank you, Orion. And finally, questions are mounting ahead of Jamaica Volleyball Association's annual general meeting set for Saturday, November 29 at the Sports Development Foundation. The meeting is drawing unusual attention as incumbent President Jacqueline Jackie Cowan faces a strong challenge from former journalist and corporate media executive Claire Grant. But while the election itself is creating a buzz, each of the days leading up to the AGM that have been dominated by concerns over transparency and a procedure, concerns coming directly from affiliated clubs. Affiliates are expressing unease about several outstanding issues following the reschedule of the AGM, which was initially set for October 29, a day after the passage of Hurricane Melissa. The affiliates want to see key documents before the polls, including the complete minutes of last year's AGM, a full list of eligible voters, and all reports scheduled to be tabled on Saturday. Nomination closed on October 24, and in addition to the race for President, Audley Weir and Cortez Wilby will vie for the position of General Secretary, while the 3 nominees, Andrew Thomas, Abiola Bertram, and Fiona Binns, are in the running for Treasurer. I'm Alex Swiby, that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612 to 5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:23.
MSME operators, the NWC MSME Amnesty is a lifeline. Grab it. Apply between September 1 and November 30, 2025. Visit nwcjamaica.com. Email us at customercare@nwc.com.jm. You can also visit any commercial office or dial 888-NWC. Get a 50% debt write-off on your small commercial account if you pay all other outstanding debts or sign a payment agreement to do so in 3 months. Apply today.
Run for Rights, give for relief. Join Jamaicans for Justice at the Run for Rights 5K Run Walk, November 30, 6 a.m. sharp at the Police Officers Club, Kingston. Choose your cause: human rights, child rights, climate justice, or ending gender-based violence. Only $2,500 to enter. Medals, trophies, and more. Register now at my.raceresult.com/355144. Part proceeds in aid of hurricane relief. You can bring your essential items on race day. Every donation counts. Call 876-239-7583 for details.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. JPS is urging customers not to pay anyone to have their electricity service reconnected. Customers are reminded that unauthorized reconnections can be extremely dangerous and can result in serious injury, electrocution, or damage to property. This practice is unethical, illegal, and could delay restoration efforts. If anyone claiming to represent JPS requests payment for reconnection services, report it immediately to the nearest police station or JPS. JPS thanks all customers for their patience as teams continue working to restore power safely and as quickly as possible. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Roby Ann Williams, a special one to our friends on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. We invite you to weigh in live in the comments section on today's Public Opinion. Well, the Holness administration, it has announced plans to provide a conditional loan of $150 million to the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, in an effort to fast-track restoration efforts following the passage of Hurricane Melissa. But even with that support, the government is standing firm in its decision not to extend the Light and Power Company's monopolies license under its current terms. JPS's license is set to expire on July 8, 2027. Now, Energy Minister Darrell Vaz, he provided the update during Tuesday's sitting of the House of Representatives.
The government of Jamaica has agreed to loan the JPS $150 million United States dollars on the basis that they will use that money, which is estimated at $75 million a month, to restore the entire grid, save and except for any special area that may not be reachable, but the major areas by the end of January, latest early February.
That's Darrell Vaz, Energy Minister. So in Public Opinion this evening, we're asking, do you agree with the government's plan to lend JPS $150 million to fast-track recovery efforts? I'll start with the comments on our Facebook platform, where Audley Phillip is saying, anything at this time so that things can be normalized quickly. It is a wise and prudent move. George Elliott is saying, absolutely, the loan will be properly secured, will ensure that electricity is returned to distressed areas sooner than expected, and will have no effect on the government's intention to renegotiate the license agreement. Kurt Powell is saying yes, he's in agreement with the loan. He says it's very pertinent at this time. People need energy restoration ASAP. Michelle Bernard is also in total agreement. She says nothing can be done without electricity. The longer it takes to be done, the harder it gets for people who are affected. Carlington Bartley, for his part, says, on the first day of creation, God created light. Yeah? Biblicals. Carlington got biblical power today. He says, on the first day of creation, God created light. To fast track the restoration of electricity, it is right in the sight of God and man. I like that, Carlington Bartley. Truly like that. Rose Salmon is saying, yes, because I really would like my light back now for Christmas. Makes sense. Kevon is saying that he has watched the Prime Minister open up Jamaica's geopolitical field for investment, means of accelerating recovery. The government has altered policies to further the recovery activities. What I have not seen is JPS doing the same publicly, going on their platforms to request aid from investors internationally. They have come squarely to the government for recovery aid. He says the only reason why I would agree with the loan is because this can also be a pay down for greater shares of Jamaica in JPS. People need electricity, but they need to show greater efforts in seeking funding other than using the fact that Jamaica is in a desperate situation for leverage. What an epistle coming from Kevon. Truly appreciate your comment here. Christopher Isaacs is saying, it's simply remarkable that the government is even in a position to do it. Absolutely. If you're just joining us, we're inside the court of public opinion. We're asking you, members of the public, do you agree with the government's plan to lend JPS $150 million in order to fast track the recovery efforts? Okay. Still on Facebook, Javan Page is saying, given the information we've received from the minister, I believe it is a foolish move. What if we give them the loan and they're unable to find the balance? Their argument doesn't even convince me enough that even with the full fund, they will meet the target. What sanction will be implemented if they fail? And he's saying, this is Javan is saying, he's expecting better solutions. Masse is saying yes, because without the light, everything will be at a standstill. For John Jackson, I agree with the loan as a smart move by the government. As with any loan, if you default on the repayment terms, the lender will have all right to claim shares in your company. Also, it saves we, the consumer, the burden of having to help service the loan to JPS from international lenders whose rates are significantly higher, meaning we would have pay a higher light bill. That's what you're saying, John Jackson. Nicola is saying, so JPS never did see a fair rainy day. Need more information on this deal. Only time will tell if this was a good deal, says Nicola. I'm getting a few more comments. Karan is saying, if you are lending them the money and not extending the license, at what point will the money be paid back when the current license expires in a year and a half? They initially sought an extension to facilitate them securing a loan to do repairs. Government lending $200 million, which happened to be half of the money. In a year and a half, Jamaica people will have to repay that. That's according to Keron. I like how you are engaging and you're make sound comments. Some. Marcia Winter is saying, yes, I do agree with that. We in Westmoreland Eastern need service. It is very challenging for us here. We welcome the move by the government. Yeah. Jamaican Forward says yes, because the loan tied to the company, so it must be repaid. It's more expensive to extend the license. All right, a lot of comments coming in. I'll switch on over to our Instagram platform where we have a whole lot of comments. YouTube, as soon forward. Richard De La Pena says yes. Right away, he's in agreement with the loan of $150 million to JPS. Magnificent Success saying yes, trust your leaders. Why would we vote for our leaders if we didn't believe they have our best interest at heart? Not your average Kruger. What kind of, okay. Is saying for those who don't agree, he's questioning if you have any other ideas. What's the other ideas? If you don't agree, what are the other ideas that you have? Philip Starr is saying yes, I agree with that, to cut the time in half. People want the light for come back in time like this. People need their electricity to operate businesses as well. D. Murray is in agreement. F.A. Michael is saying, in the interest of electricity recovery, I agree with the government in lending them Let me see. Yes, people need to get back their light. That's according to Fabian Morris over on our YouTube platform. Let's see. To the question, do you agree with the government's plan to lend JPS $150 million US? This to fast track the recovery efforts? Let me see what's happening on YouTube. Merlin P says electricity is the key to help with the recovery process. Derek Isaacs, light and water, they are essential. SMD is saying that the loan will be sold to whomever taking over the grid if the current owners refuse the term of the new license. These people don't listen. Didn't they hear the minister explain how it will be repaid? They don't listen at all. Let me see. Talk is cheap, says Lesko Gordon. Talk is cheap, and he's saying, give us some solution. Since you don't agree, give us some solution. Yeah? Carlene is saying she agrees. I think she agrees with Danny B. Great. We must try to continue the... Okay, that's in relation to another conversation Danny is having there. Let me see if I can get in a few more of the comments. This is Sterling says it's a good move. Yeah. Michael Wright is saying, I will come to move by the government, but one thing the opposition must know that the government is doing is not a 1 month party. Okay. JPS is going to increase the light bill, says PB, to repay that loan. All right. Remember, these are comments of our viewers, our listeners, not ours. Burnt Savannah don't have any light, says Rambo. Crystal Tall saying it's a good move. Dr. Buck, yes, if they can't pay it back, we will have more shares in the company. Yeah. And Richie is saying that he listened to Vaz explaining. Let me see if I can get that. He listened to Vaz explaining how the loan will be repaid, and he realizes that most people don't listen. Yeah. Then don't listen. Dale Hay is hailing the move as a brilliant one by the government to get back Jamaica on track. Without light and water back fully and on time, the country will be at a standstill. According to Ronald Grant, bro, God play chess. The opposition plays draft. That's according to Ronald Grant. Ursuline Bowen is saying JPS owner might take off with that money that he borrowed. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. Claims right there, Ursuline Bowen. I not a problem. We're moving forward, not backward, says Beverly. JPS have to get approval from the OUR to increase light bill. I agree with the government to give them the loan to help our fellow Jamaicans. Kingsley said, "Me don't have light in St. Anne, so it's good." Yeah, it's a good move. All right, for all those who participated, thank you so much. If I didn't get to read your comments, may I beg on do, bear with me. We are wrapping up the program. Thank you. The business report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:37. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Bank of Jamaica BOJ has been awarded a Best Bank Award 2025 by international financial publication Global Finance. The award was received recently by BOJ Governor Richard Biles during the publication's World's Best Bank Award Ceremony 2025, held at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., while he was attending the International Monetary Fund World Bank annual meetings. Now, Governor Biles was also recognized as an A-grade central banker based on Global Finance's Central Banker Report Card for 2025, and it assessed the governors of nearly 100 central banks around the world. BOJ says the grade topped the assessment of central bank leadership throughout the Caribbean and Latin America. Rachel Reeves has set out details of her second budget since becoming Chancellor. A number of measures from the yearly tax and spending plan had already been announced in the days leading up to the statement. Other measures were revealed by accident after the UK's budgetary watchdog mistakenly published its official forecast early. And in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 161 Jamaican dollars and 28 cents to buy $1 US, 212 Jamaican dollars and 13 cents to buy $1 British pound, and 114 Jamaican dollars and 57 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. Well, that's the business report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
Sagicor is contributing over $200 million to Jamaica's Hurricane Melissa recovery. We're also standing by our clients. If you're a client in need of support, call 888-SAGICOR.
Need to make a change to your title or need a title? GeoLand Title Limited is the place to be. They do lost title application, add and remove names from titles, wills, estates, first-time registration, land surveys included, affordable rates and flexible payment options, National Land Agency adjudication and land titling waivers available. They have 8 locations island-wide. Call 876-754-6436 or visit their website at geolandonline.com. GeoLand Title Limited. Secure your land, secure your title.
St. James, we're coming to you. This Friday, November 28th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., the nationwide team continues our Rebuilding Jamaica Post-Melissa Relief OB series, broadcasting live from Anchovy High School and Cornwall College. Come share your stories, talk with our hosts, reconnect with loved ones on air, and let Jamaica hear how St. James is standing strong, rebuilding together. We'll be on location distributing care packages with our partners, the National Health Fund and the Pharmaceutical Society of Jamaica, providing free health screenings and assisting with filling prescriptions. And to you, our listeners, we're asking for donations of non-perishable food items, cleaning supplies, hygiene products, diapers, and solar-powered lights, items that bring comfort and hope to families rebuilding after Hurricane Melissa. Every donation counts. Every act of kindness matters. Nationwide 90 FM, helping to rebuild Jamaica one community at a time. This outreach is made possible by our partners, NHF, OPM, Petrojam, Airport Authority, LMH Publishing, Ministry of Health and Wellness, NSWMA, Phoenix Vision, Kuna Caribbean Insurance, Pharmaceutical Society of Jamaica, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, and Region 4 of the Ministry of Education. The following is a paid broadcast by the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, honorable members. I seek your indulgence, Madam Speaker, as I give a statement on critical areas of my portfolio responsibilities which have very, very serious impact on the restoration of Jamaica from Melissa, and that is as it relates to energy, telecommunications, and transport. And I know that all the members here are most interested to hear about the restoration efforts by the Jamaica Public Service. So I rise today, Madam Speaker, and before I start, let me offer my own condolences to the 3 outstanding Jamaicans for which tributes were just given. I rise today 4 weeks since the passing of Hurricane Melissa without fear of contradiction to say that the spirit of Jamaica is alive and well. For anyone who believed our values and attitudes had faded, this moment has reminded us powerfully that the old-time Jamaican spirit is not only real, it's stronger than we ever imagined. Jamaicans from every parish, district, community have rallied support of all shapes and forms similar to our Jamaican diaspora across the world, to help our suffering brothers and sisters across the length and breadth of Jamaica. Over the past weeks, I have visited flattened communities in the western parishes where families destitute and displaced struggle to find shelter as the facilities available simply cannot hold them. Areas of real and immediate crisis. In the middle of this devastation, what has shone brightest is the overwhelming majority of Jamaicans who have stepped forward, giving what they can, doing what they can, and going where they are needed on their own volition. Let us not watch the 5% who try to use the disaster for their own means and ends. As I said before, God will take care of them. Let us celebrate the 95% who remind us every day that unity is strength, and at the heart of this nation beats with compassion. I've seen Jamaicans from humble beginnings struggling week to week, still finding money for gas, loading up their cars, pickup trucks, and driving across the island, sometimes to communities where they know no one, just to help a brother or sister in need. I say to them, you are saving Jamaica. This is not a sprint. This recovery is not weeks or months, it is years. And yet, because of the resilience of our people and the unprecedented support we are receiving, help continues to be on the way. Madam Speaker, no government here or anywhere in the world can single-handedly respond to a Category 5 disaster of this magnitude. It takes all hands on deck, and Jamaica has been blessed with extraordinary partners, the government of the United States of America, who moved with urgency to assist us with assets, such as helicopters, to be able to get into those areas that were inaccessible by road. Not only the support in dollars that came in funding, but in personnel, logistics, operational expertise, emergency equipment, and underground relief capacity. Not to mention the several other governments who also have been very, very early in terms of giving aid to Jamaica to keep us in the relief stage and helping us to stabilize critical areas with humanitarian assistance and reinforce Jamaica's ability to respond rapidly and effectively. We thank them all for that. Madam Speaker, while some figures remain fluid as restoration continues, what is clear is that Jamaican systems of coordination and response have evolved, allowing for faster mobilization, stronger partnerships, and more structured recovery planning. Today, I will provide an update on the progress across the critical sectors under my portfolio. Start with energy. Madam Speaker, I'm proud to report that despite the challenges brought by Hurricane Melissa, our national fuel chain supply has held firm, steady in reserves, efficient in delivery, and fully supporting the restoration across Jamaica. Petrojam continues to ensure Jamaica's energy needs are met following Hurricane Melissa. The Kingston Industrial Loading Rack resumed operation within 48 hours of the hurricane, and between Thursday, October the 30th and November 24th, have loaded over 2,540 tankers of fuel destined for all parts of Jamaica, including the hardest hit areas. The Kingston Loading Rack has extended its operating hours to facilitate additional fuel distribution. As of this morning, Petrojam's inventory remains steady at a comfortable 2 to 3 week supply, consistent with global industry standards. Fresh deliveries of finished petroleum products continue to arrive, ensuring uninterrupted supply to the local market and supporting recovery efforts nationwide, while the planned maintenance shutdown of the refinery gets underway. Repairs continue at the Montego Bay Industrial Loading Rack despite delays, with major works on the dock, which is estimated to be completed by Friday, November 28th. The refinery remains a shining example of how Jamaica will move forward, no matter the struggle. Gas stations, all major distributors, Rubis Energy, Cool Oasis, Total Energies, minus 2 sites, and massive distribution have resumed normal deliveries with aviation fueling and commercial supply operating island-wide. Sol Jamaica, Texaco has temporarily closed their Georges Plain site, and I want to commend the Truckers Association for voluntarily reducing their freight rates or their transport rates to assist with the national logistics efforts during the emergency response phase. Mobile gas units. Madam Speaker, the Ministry has noted a clear growing demand for portable fuel stations, a need intensified by Hurricane Melissa's disruption of regular fuel access in several Western communities. In response, government is reviewing the current regulatory framework, conducting gap analysis, and initiating the development of a comprehensive policy that supports flexibility and innovation in the fuel access. This process will maintain the highest standards of public safety while ensuring swift action to meet urgent community needs. To this end, we have entered into partnerships guaranteed to support the most vulnerable. Madam Speaker, I want to remind my colleagues here and the Jamaican public at large that we are no longer in normal times. We are in extreme times, and extreme times require extreme actions. The rollout of Johnson's Petroleum mobile mini fuel stations has advanced significantly following detailed site assessments conducted the week of November 17 to 21. Units for the fishing villages of White House in Westmoreland and Black River in St. Elizabeth are fully complete and ready for deployment, and licenses from Petrojam are already in hand. Beyond fishing communities, rollout to other priority areas will begin in the week of the 26th and 27th, 26th being Black River, and the 27th being Braze River. Also Middle Quarters on the 28th. Additional locations will be announced next week as remaining site assessments are finalized. Let me just pause to say that these are not permanent. We will move them once ordinary restoration is there for gas stations and move them to other areas that have challenges in terms of distance to get to the regular gas stations. I'm also happy to state, Madam Speaker, that despite major disruption to the Paradise solar facility, I have been told by InterEnergy Group that they have completed assessments and begun cleanup and issued the RFQs for replacement equipment and reaffirmed its commitment to full reconstruction in support of Jamaica's renewable energy future. I'm also pleased to report that the JUTC CNG facility sustained no damaging. Commissioning tests will begin on November 28th, with full operation expected in the first week of December. Also want to indicate that the Dr. Bird plant, through the Jamaica Private Power Company and West Kingston Power Partners, remained fully operational throughout the storm, providing crucial stability to the grid. Madam Speaker, move on to transport. Efficient and uninterrupted transport is vital in the immediate aftermath of a disaster. It ensures that life-saving aid equipment and technical support can reach affected communities without delay. In regards to this, Madam Speaker, I now turn to the matter of the toll access during the national recovery. The Toll Authority lifted barriers for toll exemptions traveling from the 26th of October, returning to normal operations on November 17th, with continued exemptions for vehicles transporting relief supplies. By November 24th, the authority had received 2,227 applications, with 700 approved, alongside the launch of a new online application portal. However, toll operators have since restricted exemption to Class 3 vehicles, which are trucks. That is the biggest class, carrying verified humanitarian aid. Class 1 and 2 vehicles can only pass under cost-sharing arrangements, limiting the movement of essential responders and partners. Madam Speaker, the authority advises me that the greater flexibility is legally available under the Toll Roads Act, Section 2, which empowers the minister to define emergency services, and Section 8 enables the minister to designate toll-exempt emergency users by toll authority. Accordingly, I have received a request from the toll authority to issue such an order to cover ODPEM, NARA, ministers and their close protection officers, members of parliament, especially those in the affected areas, and councillors and their protection officers, relevant government agencies and international and local relief partners.
House Leader, the member's time for speaking has expired.
Madam Speaker, with the member's time for speaking having expired, we ask that it be extended by 30 minutes to give the member sufficient time to complete the statement.
House, the question is that the member's time be extended by 30 minutes to allow for completion of this critical statement. Those in favor? Those against? Ayes have it.
Madam Speaker, that's why I purposely left JPS to last, because I'm sure that everybody will remain attentive to hear the good news. So, Madam Speaker, the authority stands ready to support the issuance and implementation of this toll order to facilitate a smoother, more efficient national recovery effort. And I'm saying, Madam Speaker, that it is with a heavy pen that I will have to do so if I have to do it, because I think that the concessionaires, especially in light of the challenges that we are facing and still face, especially in the West, could have been more flexible in relation to working out a regime that would be easier for relief in terms of the cost and also the access to get down into these areas. Madam Speaker, JUTC is back up and running, averaging 430 regular weekday runs and 60 premium services. The rural school bus is back up in areas where schools are open and roads are open. Montego Bay Metro, the same. Madam Speaker, airports, and I want everybody to listen to me carefully. Both Sangster International Airport and Norman Manley International Airport have remained fully operational since reopening on October 29, continuing to support passenger, cargo, and humanitarian flights. Between the 29th of October and November 23rd, the airports collectively handled approximately 2,238 flights, including 1,044 commercial flights and 621 relief flights, along with 573 private or general aviation movements, underscoring their critical role in the recovery process. The volume of air traffic reflects the significant inflow of international aid, technical assistance, and essential supplies being coordinated through both terminals. Air operations remain stable, with humanitarian and cargo support ongoing, ensuring that food and medical supplies and fuel and equipment reach affected communities efficiently without interruption. Madam Speaker, I want to pause here to indicate that Norman Manley International Airport was open within 24 hours of the passing of Melissa. I want to indicate that despite the damage that Sangster Airport had in Montego Bay, I arrived there on the 29th of October, and we opened it within 72 hours. Nothing else was more important than that, because if you couldn't land relief items, we wouldn't be able to respond at all. And I want to stop, despite all the noise, to give full kudos to all of the persons and the apparatus at the airport, customs, immigration, the cargo handlers, everybody who worked tirelessly to facilitate those flights, which are more than normal days, twice in some cases. with shortage of equipment and all that goes with it. And yet still, we were able to deliver and continue to deliver on a daily basis without any credible complaints or reports. Let me put it no stronger than that. So I praise them because this could not happen without their commitment and hard work. And I say to them, job well done. Madam Speaker, the seaports have now become critical because the bottom line is that the wharves had to be tested prior to any ship being able to land. So we were dependent only on air. Now, over the last 2 weeks, we have started to receive sea freight, which is coming in steady, which carries a lot more relief items and recovery items to sustain the drive to help as many people as we can. So I say that to say that they have gone further and basically to support the national recovery and diaspora contributions, all aid carrier benefits from a 20% discount, underscoring the shipping line's commitment to timely, efficient, and humanitarian-focused operations. Madam Speaker, there are more than 1,000 empty containers currently sitting idle in the Kingston Harbor. These containers represent more unused steel. They represent over 1,000 potential rapid deployment, temporary homes with manageable retrofitting for light ventilation and sanitation. We are working with our partners, the shipping agencies, who own these, to see what can happen, whether or not we can get access to some of them, even if it is as a temporary solution for those who don't even have a tarpaulin over their head 3 weeks later. I am looking forward to getting that response, but that is a good idea because they are sitting there facing the elements of the salt air every day, and they have been there for many months and will probably remain there for many more months. I look forward to a favorable response. I have written formally to each of them, and all of them have said that they will come back to me in short order. Madam Speaker, Jamaica's telecommunications sector has shown remarkable strength and responsiveness. Our providers have acted with urgency and purpose to reconnect the nation, bringing back mobile data and fixed services in record time, even in the hardest hit communities. On top of that, we have benefited from the international and regional technical support through the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, SEDEMA, in concert with the World Food Programme and the International Telecommunications Union emergency telecommunications specialists who were mobilized to assist with rapid network assessment and restoration of critical communication links. Additional leading telecom operators have paired their restoration work with humanitarian outreach, distributing solar lanterns, and of course mobile charging stations and emergency SIM and data packages. Madam Speaker, Starlink, and I want to pause here to give Starlink the biggest big up, because they have been a savior in this crisis in terms of being able to communicate. As of the 19th of November, 561 generators have been delivered to critical areas, including Trelawney, Hanover, St. Elizabeth. Starlink devices continue to reach the most affected communities, with 659 of 867 that has been received already allocated and 74% activated. Consistently online, Starlink themselves, who sent a team here, Madam Speaker, to Jamaica immediately after, have donated over 900 kits, provided free service to roughly 21,000 users, and enabled nearly 490,000 text messages since the hurricane made landfall. The demand for the terminals have surged tenfold, and coordinated efforts between the government of Jamaica, Starlink, and logistic partners are ensuring rapid delivery to communities, keeping residents connected and supporting both humanitarian and recovery operations across the island. Madam Speaker, I just got before coming here. Since Melissa, there has been 11,000 Starlinks imported into Jamaica. So much so that it created a backlog. As you know, DHL is who handles everything and delivers to the customer. I had to work with customs to put in a special regime where DHL posts their bond so that Minister Williams is assured of our money. And we release them. If not, they would be there for weeks, because as quickly as they come out is as quickly as they come back in. And I'm happy to say that it is working, because the complaints to me have gone down to almost zero. And again, I congratulate Customs and the DHL for working together in extreme times to make extreme measures without breaching any of the procedures and the systems that are in place. Madam Speaker, it doesn't stop there, because Starlink has supported both Digicel and Flow in order to bring up back some of their networks in areas that would not come up for weeks and months based on the level of damage. Once again, the partnership is there and has worked, and I want to say publicly, thank you to Starlink for sending a team down here, for staying here, for coordinating with us, and helping us as best as possible to make sure. The only thing I wait on now is to hear an invitation to Mr. Elon Musk when he will be coming to visit us, to give us even more assistance. Madam Speaker, I touch quickly on Digicel. As of November 24th, they have brought back approximately 76% of its mobile network online, with 90% of Digicel Plus customers with service. Key progress has been made in restoring connectivity, with the newest communities now back online across Hanover, Manchester, St. James, and Westmoreland. Notable areas including Lucy, Cocoa Walk, Cambridge, the Half Moon area, Bethel Town, reflecting steady nationwide recovery and the continued commitment to ensuring reliable service for affected areas. Flow Jamaica reports similar upward trajectory, with approximately 60% of fixed sites and 71% of mobile sites now operational as of Monday, November 24th. Restoration is quickly advancing in parts of Trelawney and Westmoreland. 3 critical transport links have been restored along the Port Antonio to Anota Bay, Mandeville to Santa Cruz, and Port Antonio to Morant Bay routes. Technical teams continue restoration efforts, bringing mobile sites back online in several communities in Westmoreland, St. Mary, Portland, Clarendon, and Manchester, reflecting steady progress for connectivity. Madam Speaker, one of the biggest hindrances for them is power. The sooner that they get back power, which I'll soon touch on, is the quicker that the telcos will be back up in almost all areas across Jamaica. Madam Speaker, 2 more things before I touch to the real one that everybody is waiting to hear about. ATMs are very critical, because if you don't have money in a time like this, you don't have any talk. A credit card don't work, promissory note don't work, and man want them cash for them goods, and you can't do nothing without cash. So we have made a special push through the Jamaica Bankers Association. 78% of ATMs, 704 of 907 are now back in service, along with 78% of point-of-sale terminals, representing 18,501 devices restored. Recovery remains uneven across parishes. ATM stands at 59.6% in St. James, 38.1% in Trelawney, 48.6% in Westmoreland, but banks continue to restore service wherever physical access, power, and telecommunications can safely be secured. We are still working between Starlink generators, GPS, to get as much more up as possible, especially in the 5 most affected parishes, because without that and without light, they will see no Christmas, because they will have nothing to be able to see with their eyes and buy with their money. Universal Service Fund, critical, especially for those areas. Again, Melissa caused disruption to the USF public Wi-Fi network of 408 community hotspots. Only 72 remained online, and the western parishes suffered a total loss of all 156 sites, cutting off thousands from education, communication, and emergency support. In response, the USF has rapidly shifted to Starlink satellite systems powered by solar energy, allowing fast off-grid restoration where traditional infrastructure collapsed. In just 14 days, engineers have restored in 17 hard-hit communities across Westmoreland, Hanover, St. Elizabeth and St. James, Manchester, Trelawney and St. Anne. We aim to deploy at least 90 Starlink sites by mid-December, supported by private sector technicians now helping. This will allow the fund to begin restoration in central and eastern parishes. The recovery effort is estimated at $863 million, covering satellite equipment, solar power systems, and installation services, an investment that strengthens Jamaica's digital resilience moving forward. So, Madam Speaker, again, those community Wi-Fis are even more important than ever in this disaster, because those places are in remote areas that MPs chose off the beaten track. And if they can have that Wi-Fi so those kids can do some homework, speak to your family, go on the social media and do the usual thing like what my colleague over here does every day. Ian. Every day. 863 million is what it's going to cost to redo all of the damage for the... My own has 863, so that one was done for you. Madam Speaker, members, let me move now to what I think is the most critical aspect of the presentation and the most critical aspect of any chance of quick restoration for the country to come back to some level of normalcy and for the relief and rebuild efforts to really get underway. And that is the issue of electricity. I deliberately left this for the last. As we know, the JPS service license expires, and the license request requires that the government indicates its intention by July 2025. To call the government's position was upon expiration of the current Owl Island license not to renew under existing terms. It's important to point out and remind Jamaica that failure for the government to have responded would have given the JPS an automatic tenure extension to the existing license of 10 years. So understand what that means in English. If the government did not respond with a position by July 2025, automatically a 10-year extension. So you'd be talking about a license that was given in 2001, renewed in 2016, which expires in 2027, to go from 2027 to 2037 under the same existing conditions. I am not going back. Today is Melissa Day. September 3rd gone. So we're not going to talk about how we got there. We're going to talk about how we're going to fix it. Right. So understand now that Melissa hit. And when Melissa hit, there's a need for restoration. The restoration requires money. The Emergency Disaster Fund, which is what you would call the self-insurance for the distribution and transmission line of the JPS, which is not insured because it's uninsurable, is what we have used for Beryl and for Melissa and for all the other events that we have had in recent years. So, as of right now, that fund, based on the claims that have been made already, to prepare for Melissa, has been exhausted. So it means that the JPS has 2 years on a license, and they have to raise money to restore. Several iterations, several proposals. One, JPS wants a 15-year extension. And they get 15-year extension, they will do what they need to do to find the money. Other one is that multilaterals are prepared to give them money, but they want at least 8 to 10 years extension. Where does that put us? That put us in two situations. One, a commitment that was made by this minister and this government in June of this year that any new license would be on new terms. A commitment that was made, a commitment that will stand, and no Melissa, no Trelisa, no Belinda is going to change that. So the government is now in a position now, what do we do? Because we need restoration. JPS is saying that the earliest restoration time that they can give us for the worst affected areas is April to May 2026. Can you imagine when you tell a minister that? And on top of which, they want an extended license. That is going to mean that we are in the same situation. Well, Madam Speaker, my colleagues here, many hours, many discussions. Cabinet not once, cabinet not twice, cabinet 3 times, including yesterday morning. And the decision, thanks to the help and the input of the Ministry of Finance, specifically Minister Williams, and the Financial Secretary, and of course, the new Minister of Efficiency, we were able to work out yesterday and get approved by Cabinet an agreement to fast-track the restoration to end of January, latest early February. Don't clap yet. Don't clap yet. On the basis that the government of Jamaica is not prepared to negotiate any extension of any license other than the process that is going to take us from now until 2027 when this existing license expires. But based on the fact that we need restoration as a country in the shortest possible time, the government of Jamaica has agreed to loan the JPS $150 million United States dollars on the basis that they will use that money, which is estimated at $75 million a month, to restore the entire grid, save and except for any special area that may not be reachable, but the major areas by the end of January, latest early February. What are the terms to make sure that the government and the taxpayers are fully protected? 5 years with an interest rate to be negotiated by the Ministry of Finance, which I'm sure will be a reasonable interest rate, because the higher the interest rate is the more it's going to pass on to the consumer. And we are cognizant of that. However, they can pay as early as 2 years. Why? Because 2 years the license expires. they'll either have a renewed license or they won't have a license. If they have a license, they can attract financing. And if they don't have a license, the government has already indicated to them, based on our July 2025 letter, that we are prepared to acquire the assets of the Jamaica Public Service, which means that our money is protected fully. So there is no risk to the Jamaican government or the taxpayers. What we have done is skillfully separated a negotiation of a loan and untied from all of these proposals of extensions. I want to point out to you very carefully, any negotiation that involved the license or amendment of license would retard the period of time when we need to get the money. We need to get the money to them or give them a commitment by tomorrow morning after we announce this today, because the cabinet decision is out. And they have committed that they will have 300 linesmen. They now have 170, all in white truck. And big thick man, you see. That's 170. But those 170 are trying to get back the biggest areas of production for the government, Montego Bay. So all the other areas in my friends and colleagues' hard-hit parishes are not getting the attention that they would get. And it's not because of anything other than what has to happen in order to get the country up and running. Can you imagine, members, in 2 weeks' time, 300 more linesmen with equipment, same trucks you see and same everything you say, having 500 linesmen additional to what JPS has as their normal crew, spread across Jamaica. The commitment that I'm making to you here, that JPS has committed to me, that they can have those trucks and men here by the second week of December, and that by Christmas morning, Grand Market night, they are committing, especially in the hardest hit areas, to bring back light at the most strategic locations where those that are still affected can come down into and do all that they need to do, even if it is that they don't have light 5 miles up in the hill. Madam Speaker, I am here to say that it is the best win-win situation that a government could negotiate. Because if we are to wait until April or May, which means could be in June, depending on what happens, then I don't know what would happen. I can't say what would happen because it wouldn't be pretty. But most importantly, Madam Speaker, is that originally the estimates for the damage, early assessments, as JPS had said, was between $480 and $600 million. As the assessments have continued in more detail, we are down to $350 million, which is a huge difference between the original estimate and what the estimate is. So the question that's going to come is, what happens with the balance of money that's going to be needed? We were not prepared to go into that discussion. They have to come back to us because they have put a hold on dividends from July indefinitely until this matter of normalcy is resolved. So we are not going into it and giving money. Just we are making sure that we have our protection mechanisms to make sure we will have oversight in terms of technical people to evaluate those numbers, to put a program in place of the restoration, monitor it, to make sure that what has been given to us as a plan is carried out. So I say to you, Madam Speaker, as of today, November 25th, approximately 75%, 687,339 households and businesses have been reconnected to the JPS grid in less than 4 weeks. Less than 4 weeks. As I said before, they had indicated to me full restoration will not be possible until end of May 2026. And this was mainly due to the inability to raise funds with the 2 years left. Madam Speaker, I want to say to you before I close that you know my stance with the JPS when Beryl came. And you know that it didn't end, or it ended well, but it didn't start well. I have seen a complete change, despite the fact there are still gaps. There's no two ways about it. There's areas that are not affected, that still can't get back light, not realizing that the transmission line is coming all the way from the west to the east. They have given me a commitment, Madam Speaker, because you know that I'm someone. So, path 1, which was a JPS's path, was 505 line workers, timeline April-May 2026. I need 5 minutes. 30 minutes. No.
Minister, you may conclude.
Conclude. Go ahead. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I really appreciate it. Part 2 is 470 line workers with an estimation of January to February 2026. Madam Speaker, for St. Mary, the commitment is to bring back all areas long before Christmas. They say Christmas. They say if they get the equipment here, they will move. They said, Madam Speaker, for Portland, same. For Clarendon, 95%. Remaining 5 will be due to access. This is before Christmas, you know. This is not January, February. Madam Speaker, that's Manchester. St. Anne has some major problems, Madam Speaker. They are saying 80% before Christmas. They have some major issues with the substation at Cardiff Hall. I want to get the Western region, Madam Speaker, and I'll close on this one for you. I'm sure member from Westmoreland here, formerly from Hanover, will be interested in this. Westmoreland, St. James, St. Elizabeth, Trelawney, and Hanover. Currently, as you know, there are several areas that have received light. St. James, Freeport, Hip Strip, Montego Bay Town, Fairway, Witter Village, Shops of Rosal, Spring Garden, Fairfield, Shore and Coral Gardens. I understand that they're going to be going up into the hills where the tourism workers operate because of tourism coming back on track on December 15th. The other areas, Madam Speaker, is St. Elizabeth, Black River Hospital and Treasure Beach, Hanover Sandy Bay Health Center, Sandy Bay Town, Westmoreland, West End Negril, Savlamar Hospital and Savlamar Town. And last but not least, Madam Speaker, as I said before, 175,000 customers remain to be restored. And we are going to bring that number forward to January, February latest, but we're going to do a push to see what we can do. So for those MPs that are in those areas, if you could furnish me with your areas that you believe would be the most critical areas for Christmas, at least at ease for Christmas. No, it can't be all. I'm sure you'll be understanding of the situation. It won't be all. All won't be till the end of January. Then I think we can work together to make sure with JPS that we use information coming from you and see how we can coordinate. Madam Speaker, I will not detain the House anymore. I thank you for your leniency and to say to you and to say to the people of Jamaica that we have made sure that we have not allowed adversity such as Melissa to take us off track with the negotiation of a new license in 2027 with whoever that is. And we have been able to find a way to bring forward restoration without putting the government or the taxpayers of this country at any exposure in relation to any possibility of not being repaid in some way, shape, or form, including JPS shares, if it comes to that, which, as I said before, 2 years we have a decision. Either there'll be a successful negotiation with the current operator, or the government will have to act and find somebody to come in. And whichever way it goes, the $150 million will be protected, whichever way it goes. I thank you for your time, and I say to you, I know the suffering is hard, but this is a huge, 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 huge move in terms of bringing forward so we can get back to normalcy as quickly as possible. God bless you. God bless Jamaica.
That was a paid broadcast by the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport.
On October 28, 2025, Hurricane Melissa devastated Jamaica. But your government is mobilizing, reaching every community, delivering relief, and rebuilding together. The time by the Office of the Prime Minister is
7:30.
St. James, we're coming to you. This Friday, November 28, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., the nationwide team continues our Rebuilding Jamaica Post-Melissa Relief OB series, broadcasting live from Anchovy High School and Cornwall College. Come share your stories, talk with our hosts, reconnect with loved ones on air, and let Jamaica hear how St. James is standing strong, rebuilding it together. We'll be on location distributing care packages with our partners, the National Health Fund and the Pharmaceutical Society of Jamaica, providing free health screenings and assisting with filling prescriptions. And to you, our listeners, we're asking for donations of non-perishable food items, cleaning supplies, hygiene products, diapers, and solar-powered lights, items that bring comfort and hope to families rebuilding after Hurricane Melissa. Every donation counts. Every act of kindness matters. Nationwide 90 FM, helping to rebuild Jamaica, one community at a time. This outreach is made possible by our partners, NHF, OPM, Petrojam, Airport Authority, LMH Publishing, Ministry of Health and Wellness, NSWMA, Phoenix Vision, Kuna Caribbean Insurance, Pharmaceutical Society of Jamaica, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, and Region 4 of the Ministry of Education.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dark,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between.
Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings, each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored.
Boyatings After Dark.
Get ready, students! Get ready, parents! And get ready, schools! From January to March 2026, Nationwide 90 FM is hitting the road again with the NNN School Tour, a fun, organized, and interactive journey bringing excitement, energy, and empowerment straight to your school under the theme Rise Up, Represent, Do It For Your Future.
You know getting nothing less than 98 when school over, me never avoid the gate.
This tour is all about motivating Jamaica's youth to dream big, take action, and own their future. Expect entertainment, inspiring messages, and engaging activities that challenge you to showcase your talents and potential. If you're a student with talent, come show us when the NNN School Tour comes to your school. Stay tuned to Nationwide 90 FM for details on how to participate in the NNN School Tour. So get ready to rise up, represent, and do it for your future. Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to help us grow our business and build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
Welcome back, listeners, viewers. We are going to be taking your calls for the remainder of the program. The numbers for those who don't know Good evening, listeners. Welcome back. As I said, we're taking your calls for the remainder of the program. The numbers, as usual, for those unaware, 630-937-124 and 618-6730. Come chat with us for what few minutes that remain. I'm sure there's a lot of things on your mind to discuss this evening. Mr. Brooks, how are you doing?
I'm all right, Siobhan. How are you?
Doing okay myself. So, just some news coming from overseas, over in Hong Kong. Unfortunate news. Dozens killed, at least 44 people have been killed after a massive fire spread across multiple high-rise apartment buildings in a Hong Kong housing complex, according to officials, with hundreds of people still missing. Firefighters have been working to reach some residents trapped on the higher floors. According to them, a few of those buildings still on fire at this hour. So some unfortunate news coming out of Hong Kong there in Asia.
That's tragic. And I always, when I hear of and see these things, it gives me the heebie-jeebies about high-rises, yeah? I mean, I don't think we've ever had like a major fire for a high-rise here in Jamaica, certainly not in recent memory.
No, not that I can recall.
But I certainly think about things like earthquakes and that kind of a thing.
But those buildings are normally designed to a certain spec and standard, where a thing like a fire, it should be such a way that you should have multiple avenues to exit the building so as to not be trapped. Same thing for a potential earthquake. Those buildings usually are probably the more safer ones to be in during those types of natural disasters, when they're built properly, I should say.
We're taking your calls. The numbers 876-630-9371, 876-630-9372, 876-630-9373, 876-630-9374, and the digital line is 876-618-6730.
While we wait for the first caller, Ricardo, that interview with the ladies from the MSME Alliance and the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, I do have a concern about that request regarding that the grant be made more accessible. I can understand the call for accessibility, but one of the things that she suggested was that there not be a need for a audited financial statement, and that gave me some level of pause, because you don't want the grant to be given in such a way that there will be no accounting as to the potential of that money being utilized in the way it should be. And remember, the grant is being given in very specific circumstances. It's not to simply just repair your business or to buy goods or to essentially get back on your feet. It's being created in a way that you will be able going forward to stand on your own 2 feet in case of a recurrence of a natural disaster. It's supposed to be build resilience and foster innovation going forward. So I think that Ms. Antoinette Hamilton, I think she has a misunderstanding as to the purpose of the grant. Maybe she has a different understanding as to what it's to be used for, but based on what I heard from Dr. David Lowe, that she has a misunderstanding as to what that grant is supposed to be used for.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. We're still taking your calls. Oh, Bobby's here. Bobby.
Good evening, Siobhan. Good evening, Ricardo.
Good evening, Bobby.
Yes, I was listening last night to the interview with Darrell Vaz and you people. You know, I must commend Darrell Vaz. He's a very good energy and transport minister. I'm so sorry that this term will be his last term, but he's doing an excellent job. And what I really agree with you and Cliff last night, you see, in the Andrew Holness cabinet, those ministers there, you know, they have business experience and they care for the people.
Yes.
You see, I would like to ask Mark Golden one thing. What he want the government to do is to wait on him to get answers from JPS about the money that the government is going to lend them, right? For them to satisfy themselves and have the country here in limbo, in darkness. The economy cannot move, and so on. It is best if the government lend JPS that money to get the economy going and take people out of darkness. No, Ricardo and Siobhan, you tell me something now. Suppose these people were in government, what would happen to us? Eh? I tell you something. You see, when we heard the interview last night, an elderly gentleman and myself, we were coming from the country. And that gentleman, he could be my grandfather. And you hear what the gentleman said to me?
What did he say?
He said, trust me, this Andrew Holness led government is the best government he has ever seen. And thank God they are the one who is in office. It is a elderly gentleman telling me that. Right?
Yes.
It is nobody who is younger than I am. So I just want to say to Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Darrell Vaz, continue keep up the good work. Lend JPS the money to assist the economy, take out those people out of darkness so the economy can move on. Okay then, yes, and God bless you.
All right, Bobby, thanks for the call.
Okay, good.
Faithful, good evening.
Faithful?
No, not hearing Faithful. 876-630-9371 to 4, 876-618-6730. The YouTubers are agreeing, Bobby. Somebody asked if Bobby have shears. Carlene said, oh, Bobby, get through. Faithful.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Bruce. Good evening, Siobhan.
Faithful.
First of all, Mr. Bruce, I really want to say condolences to you on behalf of your partner, of your grandmother. Like myself, I also grew with my grandmother. I did not know my mother, my parent there was a big man, albeit I did not feel neglected in no way, shape, size, or form. Yeah, that's one, too. I was listening to the morning program this morning, and Mr. Roden, he's the first I ever heard him. He was so pronounced and in control of his speech. I just want to say I really, really appreciate the speech that he made this morning and what's on my mind. Not so much of what he was talking about, but his command of what he was saying. It's first I ever heard him in such manner as so in control and to pronounce what he was saying. I just want to say, I hope he keeps up. Thank you, sir.
Oh, that's it. All right. Thanks, right. Faithful. I will pass it on to him in case he's not listening. Thank you, Faithful.
You're welcome.
876-630-9371 to 4, 876-618-6730. My friend Carl is on the line. Hey, Carl. Carl.
There's still not Carl is there at
No,
all.
not hearing Carl at all. 876-630-9371-4, 876-618-6730. Carl?
Hello, good evening.
No, this is not Carl.
That's Carl. It's not like Carl.
Carl?
Yeah, good evening.
How you doing?
Yes, Carl.
Not bad at all. Yesterday, man, you was fully... What's on your mind, Siobhan, man?
Was that yesterday morning? Boy, Carl, there's a kind of blending and blurring in it. I can't recall if it was yesterday morning or the morning before, but thank you.
Yes, I think it was yesterday.
Excellent, man. Like you never wake up on the wrong side, like in the 90s, like Omar Davis.
Oh, dear Carl, come on.
You wake up on a very good side. Anyhow, did you listen to the closing of Parliament last night with Clyde Green?
Yes,
That last letter that he read concerning Philip Palwell?
I did.
You know, Siobhan and Ricardo, what is happening to the People's National Party?
What do you mean?
It's like them are flipping worse than you were in China did just come in Jamaica with some flip-flop slippers.
How they flip-flop?
All right. Other day they said they don't want to sit on no committee. And yesterday they said the government left them off of everything. I don't understand that.
Go on, Carl.
2 weeks ago, Philip Palwell write to Clyde Green and said they don't want to sit on any committee. And if you notice, the PMP human rights...
To be very specific, they don't want to sit on an external committee to the PAAC.
Right. The PMP human rights, them, never have no problem with Philip Palwell letter. Them all went along with Philip Palwell.
I don't know if that's fair, Carl, because NIA and JAMP were on shortly after this, and they suggested that they were a little disappointed in Mr. Palwell and the People's National Party's position. They quite suggested that even if they believed it was a duplication of efforts, all at this point in time, all hands on deck is important.
Yes, Trevor Monroe did say that, Carl.
Lord, Ricardo, have a good night.
No, well, he did. Okay.
Ricardo,
all right, fine. He did.
Ricardo,
Yeah, that's the truth.
But me and you are hold a discussion, Ricardo.
And I am telling you.
And you're going to call a man.
I am telling you what Professor Monroe said.
Professor?
Yes.
Ask him about Grenada.
I do. Good evening, Carl. I want to say something though, because I saw a thread on X. Her name escapes me now, an attorney, and she said something that struck me, Siobhan, listeners. She said the People's National Party needs to be careful, essentially that it does not overplay its hand, because it is when Andrew Holness is faced with a crisis
that he tends to shine.
That he shines and exceeds expectations. And regardless of how the Jamaican people feel about him personally, they'll always think of him as the guy who can fix it. And so if the People's National Party under Mark Golding doesn't get its act together, they might come across as cartoonish and comical and give him more room to be, and I'm going to borrow the phrase that they use, to be 1 p.m. And it struck me because it's true, because if you think back to the last 2 terms, he was always dealing
with a crisis,
with some kind of crisis. And it's through that he was solidified in the job, in the role of chief executive.
And it's interesting that when you said that in terms of the popularity of the People's National Party, it was the strongest when the government wasn't facing down the barrel of a gun, so to speak.
Absolutely. It's when it's faced with a crisis, this administration, that it really shines. And, the attorney was saying they need to be careful. And I thought about that, and I agree.
No,
I agree.
And I can understand that, because I think in the time of a crisis, Jamaicans are very much exhausted and weary of politicking.
Yeah.
They just want to see things get done.
Yeah.
And especially when you're trying to argue against certain things being done as expediently as possible, I think it rubs Jamaicans the wrong way.
Who do we have now? Okay, so the YouTubers, Mark Greenwood said the PNP cost JLP and Siaga so much that Master God. Okay, no, Mark, I'm not going to read that. Did you watch the question and answer session of today's presser at OPM?
I didn't get a chance to watch that part. As I said, I was on assignment, so I didn't get to see that part.
Yeah, I need to watch it because a lot of people are telling me that I should watch it and then give my assessment of how the journalists comported themselves.
I heard as Mahiri had retailed what happened during the press conference, and I'm a little taken aback in terms of the posturing at those press conferences. There seems to be a need for structure. While I understand that people have pressing questions, and it's important to get those questions answered, there does seem to be a need for structure on the part of how those questions are delivered and how the journalists are then given the answers to keep the process going along. It can't just be, oh, I just have an immediate question, then, oh, wait, I just thought of something, let me ask you that as well. No.
Michael is asking if I'm on Journalist Watch now. No, but when so many people say something, I should watch something, Michael. I usually try to go and see what it's about. I mean, I might disagree with their conclusions, but certainly, they brought it to my attention, so I'll watch it. Alric.
Good evening, guys. How are you doing?
All right.
Doing all right, Alric.
Yes. Ricardo, you're onto something there that you read what that lawyer said. When a rattlesnake is cornered, that's when it's most dangerous. And Shaban said something, that is true. The Prime Minister's in a short space of time being faced with so much, I would call it problems, but difficult decisions to make regards to the tragedies that we have had. And the PNP must be careful that they don't criticize him too much because he's getting results. And when you're getting results and people cussing you, as I said to George the other morning, my grandmother said, it's no bad no stone green mango,
Oh, I heard that a different way. I heard it that my grandmother said, or used to say, that people in a stone floxy mango.
All right, then.
Yeah, that's where. Yeah. That you have to be prime. And it's funny, It's funny now, Alric, because the time she did tell me that was the very first morning that I hosted Nationwide This Morning alongside this one, Siobhan Campbell. And the same YouTubers here, yes, were very unkind to us. And I went home and told her I don't want it again. I don't want it again. And she told me, said, people no stone floxy mango. So, yeah. It's funny that you said that. I'm remembering now. You remember that December morning?
Oh, yes, I very much remember.
It was a disaster.
But look here, it's true. And look here. You listen to the Prime Minister yesterday after when
he was in fine form. He was in fine form. It's a pity that it was so late in the sitting, so perhaps not a lot of people saw it. But he made a lot of sense.
Angela Brownberg, make him come out and comfort zone, and I said, and that is exactly what this lawyer lady wrote. They better be careful what they do, because what the lady from the World Bank or whatever who said Jamaica of all the tragedies she has done it is, you guys can't tell me.
Yes. She said it was world leading.
Yes.
The response.
You hear what I'm telling you? So you corner him and him come out fighting. And there's no perfect human being and there'll be no perfect Prime Minister. But this Prime Minister shines when his back is against the wall more. And him have some ministers around him. Mr. Vaz was complete in his presentation. You had to listen. Compelling. The jive, no jiving, because now is not the time for jiving. It's serious time, not crisis time. The PNP must be really careful.
All right.
Ricardo.
Yes, sir.
When is your funeral?
We're looking at the mass of Christian burial. The funeral mass will be on the 20th of December.
All right, keep me posted now. I can get my number from George or Chan or Nora or Michelle.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Eric.
All right, have a good evening,
Yeah,
guys.
man,
and
you
keep
too.
up the good work. Siobhan and Ricardo, that first day was a tragedy. I laughed so hard until I did it.
Oh my God! It was December, what, 2 or 3 years ago?
Yes, it was
December morning,
just before Christmas.
Right, it was about the 21st there.
Yes.
My God! All right, Alric.
All right, guys. All right, good.
In fact, somebody said Siobhan and Ricardo did nervous. Oh, we were, and I'd never live hosted. Somebody else is asking for the date. Got them want to watch it. Ronald Grant says, I remember that morning like it was yesterday. Even me was unhappy with you guys. Yeah, well.
I mean, that's what you have to say about our audience, you know. When they are not happy with something, they will let you know.
The YouTubers were unkind. Unkind.
Well, it's important. You know, feedback is important, and I really appreciate it. If no one is challenging you to do better, how are you going to improve?
Well, I don't know if they were challenging us to do better. They were just abusing us. I don't know if it was a challenge to do better. Which is why, and I should say it, which is why Marigold is my, because I remember that morning when they were piling on, I think Marigold realized that as the broadcast went on, our confidence was, dimming. And she was the sole positive voice in the chat. Good evening, Marigold. Yeah, I remember Marigold. Who's next, Damien? Yeah.
Well, boy, I think the next few weeks, I look forward to the finance minister's presentation next week, where I assume that is when we'll get to the documents for the suspension of the fiscal rules. Because I understand people are not going to like this, but you need to hear from the finance minister. It is important.
Absolutely.
And I think Julian's
absolutely. It's fair. It was a reasonable.
It was reasonably clear.
Yeah, it was a reasonable point for him to raise, and I also thought Mark Golding's questions to Daryl Vaz was also reasonable. That was reasonable. A reasonable concern for Julie Robinson to have and to raise. But my thinking, I mean, the minister hasn't said it, but my thinking is that they're getting their ducks in a row before she makes the statement to the parliament. Charlie, you don't have much longer.
Well, good night, sir. We've been quite fair and good. Now say, during the process of the 1,500 and the 2,000, the 200 was supposed to come after, right? Now say, if you were to lend JPS the whole entire 150, right? What is the process, what is the ratio of getting back any increase in order to do something like a charter where you can gain more investment back?
So the specifics of the loan will be, according to the energy minister, will be outlined by the finance minister. Yeah, so we'll have to wait to hear from Favour Williams about the specifics.
Yeah, because may I say, why not give them even say 60% of the 15, and because during the contract, what the contract holds, that will be a separate lending, right, from the government to JPS.
The 150.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, saying that would be a good decision, but if you have anything short term more where you can get them like give them a 60 and hold back a 40 to do something short term where you can give, because remember, there's a lot of crab in the bucket, and every one of them want to come out. So it's based upon who the cover with the bucket to can get them out,
I mean, as I understand it, that 150 plus the 50 from the EDF is not going to cover the full cost of the restoration, but what it does do is get them on track to do it as swiftly as possible in the interim until they can get additional funding. That is my understanding of it. Because I believe they wanted somewhere closer to 350 to 400.
I think they're like there's another catch behind it, and it couldn't be a catch in a state of emergency with the government, with the countries in crisis.
All right, we're out of time, Charlie. We're out of time. Sorry about that. All right, thanks for the call, though. Yeah, man. All right, so that's all the time we have. Sonia Stewart, thank you. Oh, you're not telling me? Someone welcome. Okay. All right, fine. If you don't want him, all right. Well, let me say that later. Thank you. Our producer, Sonia Stewart. Damien Cunningham is the man behind the controls tonight. Thank you, Damien. Oh, okay. Damien said no problem. See? You see that, Sonia? Teach her a thing or two, Damien. On behalf of our colleagues in the newsroom, all our callers, contributors, sponsors, we appreciate you all so much. My name is Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell. It has been an honor and a privilege.